Hey, oh my God, welcome. Okay, make sure everything sounds good. Hey? Okay, cool. All right, I figured out which mic is in use. Oh man, I cannot wait to talk about this episode. Welcome to this kind of like review of season 8. If you're watching this as a playback, welcome, good morning, good evening, good afternoon. It's morning here for me. And I've rewatched the last episode twice now, and dude, I have so much to say about this fucking season. And I honestly was thinking about doing videos about this, but what I want to do, since I'm doing another channel, I'm starting another channel about like entertainment, TV, and movies. I'm gonna try to direct people there, and I'm gonna stream about this this fucking abomination of a show. Just for a little while, in general, like, so for the next couple weeks, I'll probably stream about it. I'll stream about it on Sunday. I'm going to stream about this show after the episode airs, the finale. And after that, I'm going to be doing a look back on every single episode of Game of Thrones. And in the future, I'm going to be talking about the spin-off series that they plan on doing, The Long Night, and 2 other rumored shows that are going to come back. Now, before that, though, since it's going to be about a year, I'm going to basically go back and rewatch every episode, do a breakdown and review, so a single video for each episode of the show. Because while this title might make my feelings about the show very obvious, I'm pretty upset about the show. It's still my favorite show on television. As it currently stands, it probably isn't. I'm still trying to figure that out. But dude, for as far as my feelings about where this season 8 has gone, all my feelings about it are sussed out. Very concrete feelings. I'm going to be talking about them. But as far as the show goes, I'm not, it's weird. Breaking Bad, like, it's still, I think, the best show objectively on television, or subjectively. I gotta figure out those words. Without my opinion, I feel like you could say that just cinematically, storytelling wise, it's just the best show. And despite that, it's my second favorite show. So anyways, Game of Thrones, I'm going to be doing recaps on all the episodes on that second channel. I should have it linked below. And let's get into it, dude. Let's fucking talk about those episodes. So I have it playing. I have this episode 5 playing on my phone right next to me to kind of remind me of the scenes that we're fucking going through. Varys. You want to talk about Varys? And you're welcome to talk in the chat if you guys ever want to. Let's see. Send a highlighted message. I'm just making sure super chats are on. I don't expect to get any, but we'll see where the stream goes. However it goes, I'm going to be streaming next week. So let's talk about Varys. Varys, in the episode at the very beginning, was scheming against Dany, and he was writing that letter. I still don't know who he was writing the letter to, and that's a problem with this season. This season has given me so many moments, more than any other season, possibly more than the entire show combined. Moments where I'm actually literally wondering, like, what's going on right now. Like, one instance that comes to mind is when Jon Snow in episode 3 during the Battle of Winterfell, and that dragon battle that they had. John's on his dragon, Viserion or Rhaegal, whatever, and he gets like knocked out of control, and he's spinning. He's like, whoa! And the way they filmed it, I thought he ran into Dany. But some people were saying that he got like knocked that way because of the Night King. I still don't know what fucking happened there. So Varys, he's sending this letter, and we don't know who. Probably doesn't matter. And he's also scheming to get one of his little birds in Dragonstone to basically kill Dany via poison. And Dany isn't eating her food. She's not, she's really depressed. And judging by the the dark circles under her eyes like mine. She's not getting enough sleep. So yeah, and that's part of the reason why I'm doing this stream, because I'm like, fuck it, I can't work right now because it's not a great time to work. So I'm gonna be working in a few hours. So basically, yeah. And so Danny's not eating, and Varys is trying to scheme, and we all know Varys is gonna die. And I feel like Dan and Dave think that they're surprising us a lot more than they are, the writers of the show. It's kind of embarrassing, and I'm kind of upset just in general because Dan and Dave should be totally embarrassed by this show. They should be like cringing at like they should have been cringing when they saw the final cut that they're responsible for before they put this out. And I guess the only thing they could be cringing at now, because they're not going to cringe at the show after it's been made. They made it. This is them. This is Dan and Dave. They got to be just like embarrassed because of the reactions to the show. But I guarantee you, despite all the reactions to the show, they're gonna keep their jobs with Lucasfilm. Kathleen Kennedy probably loves these guys, despite the fact that they probably aren't like the woke kind of directors that they or producers that Kathleen Kennedy wants over at Lucasfilms. I mean, Dan and Dave, they did give us some realistic things, and some of them were about women. Daenerys going crazy. We'll get into that, but I'm not totally upset about it. I'm upset that that Dan and Dave seem to not understand the final steps to that level of insanity. They didn't put that in there at all. But you're telling me for 8 seasons, like you're gonna set this up, but not complete the setup? Yeah, Danny. Okay, so people are saying, "Oh, Danny didn't have the proper setup for going and killing everybody in King's Landing. This was out of nowhere," and I agree with them. It was out of nowhere, but you can tell that's what the writers were wanting. Like that's what they wanted to lead up to. When you look at the older seasons, you have Danny, you know, like freeing, saving people from getting raped, this and that, and she sees Khal Drogo kill somebody that protests the rape, the rape withholding, and it kind of starts her down a path of being able to justify killing, because before that she was very like, whoa, I'm not cool with the killing part of this whole being Khaleesi stuff, like even seeing people die. But after that, I think she was almost forced to justify Khal Drogo killing that guy, that first real conflict in her character. And then you have the more obvious thing that happened when she went to Marine and she crucified the masters. And that was straight up like, that's, a hard decision. But I don't think it was a hard decision for her to make by that point. And that was a big, big development towards what we got in episode 5. Big, big development. But, you have all these things where Danny, she justified killing people because they did slavery. Then she would justify, burning, when she finally made it to Westeros, burning that caravan and just killing soldiers. Those soldiers weren't slavers. Slavery's been outlawed in Westeros. All they were was against her. They were just moving gold and food to the capital. She killed them. She had no problem with it. She killed 2 noblemen, which should actually be pretty rare in Westeros, if I'm not mistaken. Westeros is very, very strongly connected to like actual historical Europe, in which the nobles and knights, they weren't actually killed when they were captured. Even when they wouldn't stand down. If they didn't stand down, the other option was to imprison them, and then you'd ransom them back. That was the thing that you would do. So That and also that's not very moral, is it? Is it very moral to kill these two people that probably aren't even gonna like, you know, they're not gonna conspire against you like in jail? No, they're not. She killed them out of spite. Okay. But the argument I'm trying to make is that the writers didn't have enough the final like setup or set pieces or whatever events that should lead to Danny getting to that point where she's like goes like Super Saiyan fucking on everybody, kills the entire like just kills everybody in the city. You would think that Dan and Dave might understand insanity a little better than that, but I don't think they do. Maybe I could explain how I would fix it, but really just Dan and Dave should have put more scenes in the show where Danny was struggling with the, you know, insanity. Like she just went from there should be steps in between her being mad that her best friend was killed on top of everything else that's happened to her and her just killing everybody. There should be something there. And maybe George R.R. Martin will actually like give us, because we can't see somebody's thoughts in the show. We can't see a character's thoughts unless you do something really corny and give a monologue or voiceover. But so maybe George, when he finally finishes the last book, is going to give us some, you know, something real to, you know, understand, because that makes no sense to me, at least. It makes no sense to me. Maybe you disagree, but Danny just killing everybody, that's fucking ridiculous. So whatever. Yeah, now I'm looking at this scene when Arya and the Hound make it to the city and they just get in somehow. They didn't need a disguise. The Hound, oh, excuse me, the Hound has a hood. The Hound had a hood, so they're disguised. They're very disguised. And Jaime Lannister, he's got a hood. But as soon as he walks in the city, he takes the glove off his hand. You think that everybody in the city is loyal to the Lannisters? That's not a smart thing to do, Jaime. Take off your glove, revealing your golden hand, remove the hood. Yeah, and don't even get me started on the way Jaime and Cersei died. Oh, fuck. And all I'm talking about here is the writing on the show. That's why the video isn't titled like Game of Thrones sucks. I don't think the show sucks. It's just the writing. Obviously, the directing on this, like episode 3, was fucking amazing. From a cinematic standpoint, it was probably some of the best television visually. And same thing with this episode, the fucking Golden Company. So Arya, the Hound, and Jaime have gotten into the city, and they show the Golden Company outside the walls, flanked by the ballistas or scorpions, which, you know, conveniently for the plot, the ballistas are fucking nerfed to hell. The ballistas don't do anything. They can't get a single shot on Danny. Meanwhile, in last episode, when Danny's other dragon was killed, all it took was like a few shots. I don't even know if they missed shots because it happened so sudden. Like, you would think that a good show with good writers would, in that instance when the dragons were like supposedly, you know, about to be ambushed, and like, I don't even believe this stuff. Like, in my mind, the story has gone so differently, and I'm not even convinced this isn't canon. This is fan fiction. But anyways, the two dragons. There's like a fleet of ships, and it's a very small fleet. If you actually talk about, like, if you're talking about like tactics and naval combat, they have like what, a dozen ships, and assuming that they're all loaded with ballistas, let's be generous, and they're all shooting from like thousands of feet away into the sky at a moving target while their ships are moving. They still hit the fucking dragon. I don't think, like, with every shot, I think they were like 3 for 3. You know, they shot it in the stomach. They shot it another time in the wing, and then maybe they missed a shot, and then another one landed in the neck. And I was going to say a better show with better writers would have, like, if you're trying to build tension and surprise the audience and be like, oh yeah, this is fucking, yeah, I can't wait to hear all the people like talk about how shocking this was. Like that's what I imagine the writers are. They're just like twirling. I don't even know if they have mustaches, but twirling their mustaches. They probably don't even have them. And they're just like twirling a imaginary mustache, just saying to themselves, oh, look, we're going to subvert their expectations so good. And then we're going to make so much money because we're going to be directing Star Wars movies till the day we die. Like, that's what I imagine them as at this point, based on this show. You can really dig into what these people were thinking. So what I was saying was the ballistas in this episode compared to last episode, they're two totally different things. Either that or the dragon Drogon just has always had like, I mean, he just has plot armor. Let's just accept it. The writing for that whole topic has been awful. The ballistas were never supposed to hit him in the first place. Now in this episode, or hit the other dragon. But now in this episode, the ballistas are realistic. They can't hit the moving dragon. I'll take that if you're talking about the ballistas on the boats, because the boats are rocking back and forth, and like maybe at far range, like they should just never be able to even land a shot after like hundreds of bolts get fired. I'll buy that. I'll totally buy that. But if you're talking about the ballistas that are on the walls all surrounding King's Landing, the ones that aren't moving, I'm not going to buy that shit that they can't hit a dragon, especially when it's at close range. That was ridiculous. And even with these boats, like I said, I think that the boats are rocking. They shouldn't have been able to hit her. But when she flies in at close range and she passes by Euron and she's just busting these boats down, it's very cool visually, like I said. But they should have been able to hit her, especially if fucking Euron can hit one of her dragons from like, hey Diane, if they can hit one of her dragons from like thousands of feet away, you would think that even though she's going right past them, they can just like fucking land that shot, like lead ahead, like you supposedly did in the last episode. Lead ahead and just land it. Just fucking get them. But they couldn't do that. In this scene, after she destroys Euron's ship, she goes straight for King's Landing. She's like, the fleet's pretty much taken care of. She didn't even destroy the whole fleet, as far as I know, but she got Euron's ship, and somehow she knew she got Euron's ship. I'm not going to argue that point. She probably didn't, but like, that's as soon as she got Euron's ship, she decides to go to King's Landing. So whatever. The scene that there was a scene that I really liked, even though they couldn't hit her. If you just suspend that issue for a second, which I can do, the captain of this line of ballistas was yelling at the soldiers, telling them like, "Hey, you got to aim low." And they did have to aim low because she was flying along the harbor, along the water. And and the captain was freaking out, telling them to reload faster because they shot and they missed, because they didn't wait until she was closer. They just fucking shot when they saw her or whatever, I guess. But I did like the captain freaking out and telling them to fucking reload, and like that brief moment of actual tension in the show was pretty cool. And so in the past like couple minutes, Dany has been flying around, just like owning. It's just super one-sided. She's just like letting fire loose on all the ballistas, and they show the front gate with Captain Strickland, the captain of the Gold Cloaks. No, not the Gold Cloaks. The Golden Company. Golden Company. Jesus, can't believe we got that wrong. I call myself a nerd. Okay, Strickland. I like the fucking. I don't know if most people probably noticed this. after Danny comes in, she busts open the front gate and she routs the entire Golden Company, which then allows the Unsullied and the Dothraki to move in and take the city. But Captain Strickland is just like knocked off his horse, which, by the way, that's the horse that Arya takes in the end of the episode, which is interesting. He gets knocked off his horse. It could be interesting. I don't know if it is. I'm interested. And kind of mirroring the Battle of the Bastards, you know, when Jon was being charged by horses from both sides coming into each other. They kind of mirrored that. Probably you noticed that. You noticed that, right? The fucking similarity there. That was cool. Although I am getting a little bit tired of the references to better episodes from the series. It's like Dan and Dave are consciously trying to be like J.J. Abrams. Like, all the references to better previous work doesn't necessarily make your work better. I mean, it makes your work appear better to especially like brain dead people, like normies and shit. And maybe that's all they cared about. I think that's all they cared about. I'm not even saying maybe. I'll go out on that limb and make that argument. I'll make a whole fucking video about that. That actually sounds really interesting to talk about. Try to make the argument that Dan and Dave only care about normies, like people that just want something to watch, turn it on. You know, I don't need to think about it. Yeah, it really feels like that's all they want, and that's the types of people that they want. Good for them. You know, they got a great gig with Lucasfilms now. So Qyburn comes to Cersei and he tells her, look, Danny's just laying waste. Hey, Gold City Umbreon, what's going on, man? Danny is just laying waste to everything at this point. And she's allowed her army to come into the city. So everything's taken. The fleet is gone. Seemingly all the ballistas are destroyed. The wall-planted ballistas that posed any threat to the dragon. Qyburn, Cersei's hand, comes in and he tells Cersei, like, hey, we better get going. We should probably leave. And she's like, all it takes is one shot from those ballistas and we got this. We won. And he's like, I don't think we're gonna win. The fleet's gone. Oh yeah, and she's like, yeah. She's like saying she's relying on the fleet and all this, and he's telling her like, look, the fleet's gone. The Golden Company is all destroyed, which was, by the way, really disappointing. But maybe I'll get into that. The fleet's gone, and the ballistas are gone, right? And Cersei is still gonna be like, yeah, no, I'm gonna wait it out. I'm gonna wait it out until it's convenient for the plot to basically like run out at the last second while the castle's crumbling. Like, if she's the type of character that would leave the sinking ship, and I do believe she is, then she should have done it before. She's survived this long for a reason, right? You're gonna tell me that she's like all noble all of a sudden, and she's like, I'm gonna stick around and see this to the end. No, that's not who Cersei is. But luckily for the story, she is in that moment. It gives Jaime some time to get to her, and you know, they're oh man, when they reunite, I really don't know how to feel about it. It's very bittersweet. Jaime and Cersei getting back together. I was one of those people that in that scene with Jaime and Brienne, when Jaime went down to, he was like, I'm gonna leave. I fucked you and the pussy wasn't good enough, so I'm out. I'm going back to my sister. We normies also appreciate a good story, geez. Yeah, you sure do. I don't even know if normie is a concrete thing. Like, yeah, I mean, it's very hard to find a person that like I would say that's 100% a normie. It's like a degree, like hot and cold. You know, it's not just things are hot and things are cold. There's a, you know, everything's on a degree. Yeah, Dins Bushton. Yeah, no, I don't. How do you even call yourself a normie? Why do you think you're a normie? Just out of curiosity. So, anyways, conveniently for the story and the plot, Cersei all of a sudden feels like sticking behind, even though her city's falling, and Jamie, I think, gets to her. No, he's not. He doesn't get to her yet, but Cersei's not leaving. So you have her looking out the window, and she starts hearing the bells because Jon Snow, the Unsullied, Davos, they're at the front of the army. They've pretty much taken the city effectively, and the Lannister army is trying to get people to the bells around the city to ring the bells. And Dany, she's on the wall on her dragon, and she's destroyed all the ballistas. She's, helped the army out by doing strafing runs on the streets where there were actual like soldiers of the Lannister army, and she's destroyed the fleet, even though she didn't really destroy the fleet. You said it. You said it. I said what? Like you agree with what I said? Yeah, I mean, or you're saying that I said that normies don't agree or don't appreciate a good story. Yeah, normies don't appreciate a good story, but I wasn't calling you a normie, dude. Chillax. We can argue about normies if you want. That could be interesting, but I don't think you're gonna be satisfied with the result, man. Yeah, I don't know. Anyways, they're trying to ring the bells. Back to the story, the actual topic that actually matters to me, that's actually interesting to talk about. They're trying to ring the bells, and Cersei closes her eyes, and there's this scene I just saw it, and she's just like, that's when she's accepted defeat, I think. But she still doesn't leave. She's still staying there. She doesn't. I don't know. But that's not my biggest problem with this. My biggest problem is 2 seconds later, it cuts to Dany, and Dany's on her dragon. She's just like, her dragon's moving around and roaring, and the dragon's itching to go and fucking burn up some people. And Dany is just like, she's got this crazy face on, but it's not even like, I don't think Emilia Clarke is able to do insanity. I don't think she can do it. I don't think she'll ever get cast in like a villain role. I think she's just too nice of a person and not good enough as an actress. And she's actually really good as an actress, but I think she's so far from being like even understanding insanity, because that scene where it shows her like confused at first. Like you don't know how she feels. And you're supposed to know how she feels because it's the last scene that you actually see of her face, and the rest of the episode is from other people's perspectives, and you actually don't even get to see any of her perspectives the whole time. And it's like she's the villain all of a sudden because she starts burning everybody. She just destroys the whole city. But in that scene before she goes crazy, I don't know what to feel. It's like confusion, fear, and then madness, which is just like her essentially just being like, like that's fucking her Super Saiyan, like I don't fucking know. And it's not good writing. Like I was saying before, it's quite evident after seeing that scene that Dan and Dave, like, you could either attribute that they were just being lazy, or that they straight up don't understand insanity, or how people can get to that point. I would say that I do. I've had I've had family members that have just like deteriorated into absolute insanity. And even one of my family members, I don't want to say who, but they have Wilson's disease, and it's actually a degenerative like brain disease where you, over like decades, their brain fills up with copper and destroys their brain slowly. So I got to see like really detailed like segments of the path to insanity, and it's really scary, and it's really interesting. Like they had a really missed opportunity in this show. But do you know that HBO actually said that they could have done more than 6 episodes? They gave them the budget for it, and Dan and Dave were like, no, we can do it in 6. I think HBO said, yeah, you can do 8 episodes this season if you want. And Dave, the producers are like, nah, give us 6. It's like they're negotiating for less episodes, and you know why? There's pretty obvious why. Maybe we could just speculate and not say for sure, but I'm going to say for sure. Dan and Dave know that the show has been declining in quality, and I think they know that if they keep going with this show, that they'll never be able to get another job in Hollywood. They're just not going to be able to. Several what? Bushton, I'm really sorry. If you're on a phone, it's okay. Don't even bother. But if you're on a laptop or keyboard, totally try to type out like the complete sentence, because I'm like minutes past, I think, like what realistically like 15 seconds pass when you type something, so I can't tell like which thing you're responding to. So if you write in a complete sentence, I'll be able to understand and actually respond. So they just gave the fans the finger instead of doing better work. Oh yeah, totally, 100% from Bushton. They just gave the fans the finger instead of doing better work. Yeah, no, I would totally agree. I would make the argument that I don't think they're even capable of doing better work. Like they're capable. I mean, and people that are thinking about the first seasons, like if you've watched the show, you're totally going to disagree with me, but I don't think they're incapable of making shows like episodes like you had in season 1 through 4 of Game of Thrones. I don't think they're incapable of that because they did that. But I'm talking about they're incapable of making those episodes as good as they were without books to adapt from. And they're not. I would put money on that. I'll put money on the fact that the Star Wars movies they're not going to flop. They'll make a lot of money. But when you look at the user reviews on Rotten Tomatoes, they're going to be terrible. They're going to be like less than 50%, because these guys can't write. What HBO should have done was fire these guys and bring on some other writers. If they want their HBO, I'm convinced that they're just as incompetent as Dan and Dave, because if they care about Game of Thrones, which they do, they want Game of Thrones to be like the biggest thing. It is their biggest show. It's the reason HBO is even a competitor with companies like Netflix and HBO and Amazon Prime. HBO is a big player, only because of Game of Thrones. And they want their spinoffs to do well, right? But you have these people, like, maybe they're just out of touch, but that would make them incompetent, in my opinion. They're so out of touch that they don't realize that that season 7 was garbage. I mean, you had 2 years to get new writers. I mean, people were a little upset, but they were still going to come back and watch the show. Wasn't episode 3 the most watched episode in the history of Game of Thrones? Okay, so I don't fucking know. Maybe HBO is just as incompetent as Dan and Dave. That's something I hadn't thought of much before. I pretty much usually consider HBO as being pretty competent when it comes to their shows. Apparently, their shows are really good. So in the episode 5, we're talking about fucking Danny is going around burning up the whole city, and never mind the flip flop, the fucking switch that really had no good reason or setup. Had plenty of setup, but the setup was not complete. The setup was not finished. So Danny's going around burning the entire city, and then she makes her way to the Red Keep. That's almost as bad as the fact that she even went Mad Queen to begin with and started burning the whole city. Like, the Keep is clearly a pretty impressive structure, right? And the Keep is what she wants. She wants the Iron Throne. Just so you know, I don't know, did anybody tell Danny that the fucking Iron Throne is in the Keep? It's not like off the coast somewhere on an island. It's in the Keep, Danny. and she's literally burning down towers. She's indiscriminately like just doing strafing runs on the keep. And she then goes from that to the city because she's like, it's been a while since I burned civilians and orphans and mothers and fathers. So she goes back to that. And while she's doing that, you have John just like, I don't fucking know what's going on. This is like the worst thing ever. And John actually does. Kit Harington, he does a good job acting. And not to say that Emilia Clarke isn't a good actress. I like this whole series. She's just been amazing. But that scene made it really clear that insanity was outside of Emilia Clarke's wheelhouse. Like she's just not able to do it, which is kind of a shame because they've clearly been like leading up to this. Why didn't you pick an actress that could do this job? Like she was able to do literally everything except for the most important part, which is this is like the penultimate episode of the series where Danny, loses everything that she worked for. I don't have a problem with her burning everything in the city. I have a problem with like the way they set it up. And they just wanted her to burn everything in the city, so they just did it. Like they don't care. But anyways, like why didn't they hire somebody different? Like make sure she could do like fucking crazy person, like a crazy lady. She's burning the city. We cut to a scene with Jamie getting to the shore, and he's just fucking around trying to find an entrance, the secret entrance to the Red Keep. And he finds it, but Euron is swimming right behind him. How convenient. How fucking convenient. Euron and Jamie, like two other characters that randomly stumble upon each other. Not that I'm talking about this episode, but just this season. Like so many convenient stuff. It's like the characters had the scripts with them. It's like they're all Bran Stark. They all know what's going to happen. Like, I mean, in some ways they don't, but it's like they know the things that they're supposed to think and do. Does that make sense to you? Like, does that make sense to you guys? Like, there's no real cause and effect to a lot of these characters. It's just like they know how they're supposed to feel about something, even though it is different than what would be normal, and they just do. They just think the way that they think. So Jamie, of course, Jamie wins the fight against Euron, and Euron almost breaks the fourth wall. And he looks into the camera and he's like, "I'm the fucking one that killed Jaime Lannister. I killed him. I got you, boy." Like, fucking enough. I'm so glad they killed him off because he's just like he's a joke. And it's like they wanted him to be a joke. It's like they wrote him as a meme. Harkens me back to like memories of Twitter where like companies are trying to do promotions and they try to use memes to like sell their bullshit. And they're trying to sell this story and sell Euron as a joke. And this is a serious show. I'm all for a comedy, but like the only good comedy that's like even somewhat good is the jokes in the show and like the characters kind of like saying clever shit, which I don't think the characters have said anything clever outside of just anything clever in like a season. The only real jokes that these characters make are dick jokes, and yeah. So the comedy it's totally there, right? The comedy's there. You got you like a clown and fucking the Hound saying fucking shit and it's none of your goddamn business all the time. Oh, that's really funny, Dan and Dave. Thank you from the fans. Yeah, that you're gonna really win us over with that. That's fucking hilarious. Euron and the Hound, and the Hound's like one of my favorite characters too. But they, ever since season 7, like last season, they were clearly they had like focus groups. Like HBO got focus groups for Dan and Dave and figured out what fans liked about certain characters. And unfortunately, these fucking focus groups, like I said, I hate to use the words, but I'm going to use it, and I'm always going to use it if it applies. Normies. Their fucking focus group was normies, and you had people that were like, oh, I like the Hound because he cusses a lot, and he's very different from the other characters. What juxtaposition? Like, no, dude, that's not the part of the Hound that's cool. That's surface level shit. That's a symptom of his character, like the cussing and him being crass. That's a symptom of him being just a real dude, you know? Dude, thank you, Dusty Old Bones, for the super chat. Dusty Old Bones, let's see if you said anything. You didn't say anything, just trying to support me. Dude, thank you. I really appreciate it. Seriously, dude. I don't even think I've seen you here before. Oh, thank you. It's been a long time since I've streamed, so that's just like that's encouraging. Really, it is. It's heartwarming. But anyways, back to this fucking garbage dumpster fire of a show, of an episode. The show, I just can't hate the show, because those first 4 seasons, they're always going to exist, and they're always going to be on my hard drive so that I don't have to continue my subscription with fucking HBO. And if I could, I would pirate, I would copy every single episode of the first 4 seasons, even the first like 6 seasons. I like I like season 5 and 6. But first 4 seasons, if I could just give everybody those seasons, like I would, and just be like, hey, if you take these seasons, please consider canceling your HBO subscription, because fuck these people. But on the other hand, I actually do have a lot of hope for the spin-off series. I'm just being really vindictive and saying like, fuck HBO at this point for letting this happen. But the spin-off series actually might be pretty good, considering it's not going to be helmed. They're not going to be helmed by Dan and Dave. What really the question is now about those spin-off series, so we'll take a break from the episode. The real question is, how hard is it for directors, producers to do this thing that Dan and Dave have tried to do, which you can't completely blame them for, but which is to write a show without books to adapt from? Didn't The Sopranos do it? Like, we should be able to get some good shows, right, from these spin-off series. So I'm pretty hopeful. I'm hoping that it's not as hard as Dan and Dave probably think it is, because obviously, like, they've complained about not having the books, and you know, it's for good reason. Like, it's not completely on them. You know, George R.R. Martin. You guys might kind of hate me a little bit for saying this, but George R.R. Martin is lazy. Like, he is lazy. I was in the camp. Let me just say this. I was in the camp of like, oh, you know, all you people that are saying, finish the books, finish the books. You know, I was somebody that hadn't even read the books yet. And I was just going like, hey, all you people yelling at George R. R. Martin, just let him do his thing. I was the let him do his thing crowd person. But at this point, you look back and you look at the history of things. George R. R. Martin hasn't done a book in 8 years. I mean, he's done Winds of Winter, and he's done a couple other books, like anthology stuff and like background story stuff, but he hasn't done the Song of Ice and Fire. He hasn't done another one of those books in 8 years. And you have like these showrunners that were starting the show, and they had 4 books to go off of, and they were like, oh, okay, well, you know what, we'll be fine. George has given us these first 4 books to go from, and they're like talking about doing the show, and it's like 2010 probably, or 2009, and they're like, you know, by the time we get to season 4, it's pretty definite that we'll get another book, and then after that, hopefully another book before that season's supposed to come out. So they were trying to roll out the show like way back in like the early teens, in the hopes that they would get the books, and they never did. Season 1 came around, no book. 2, 3, 4, no book. 5, 6, 7, 8, nope. Like, it's just, I don't think George R. R. Martin is like, I think he's lazy. I don't think he's purposefully trying to not write the books. I don't think he's doing that, because there's actually some theories saying like, oh, you know, George R. R. Martin's going to release all of his books after this series ends. George R. R. Martin is jealous that the showrunners have taken his toys and done something really amazing with them, which they have. Like, the show is way more popular than the books. And maybe there's something to that. Maybe George is actually jealous of Dan and Dave, but I highly doubt that he's written the books. I think he's just lazy. And you have this guy who's just like living the rich life. He's got his house in New Mexico, which is probably a mansion. But he said he's not he doesn't like to live really frivolously. So that's cool. But I don't really care what he does with his money. Just write the books, dude. So what you have him doing instead of writing the books is he's been going to these conventions and these panels to talk about the books. And most recently, he gave us an update. He gave the fans an update saying, hey, guys, I'm going to update you on Friday or something like that. He updated us about updating us. That's the mindset he's in. He's so lazy that, like, he's like, I don't know his life, so I don't want to shit on him too hard, because I'm about to compare him to me too, and it's giving me some empathy for him. But I do think he's lazy. I'm lazy too sometimes. And like, as in regards to my channel, like, I've given updates on giving updates probably. I've talked about like, oh, I'm going to be releasing this video and I'm going to work on videos. I'm going to work on my channel more and do videos more often. And I am like working in the background on stuff, but not as much as I could be. But I'm working as much as I could be if you factor in like how much I'm working and how bad things are financially for me. I'm struggling quite a bit, so there is actually good reason for me. But I don't want to use that as an excuse to just criticize George R. R. Martin. Even if I am lazy, which I am sometimes, George R. R. Martin is also lazy. And I'm not trying to compare myself to somebody who's like given the world like such amazing stories and amazing characters and amazing storytelling. Like this, the way he structures these stories is brilliant. And screw the people who were saying his books aren't good because he copied historical events. Like, he did copy, his story is pretty much all just like shuffled historical events. Like, if you really get into history, like, it's all just taking historical events and then shuffling the deck and being like, here's a story. But the way he tells it is really brilliant. So fuck the people who are saying his book is unoriginal. It's very original. It's not all about what happens in a story. It's the context. It's the meaning behind the things. And I get none of that from this last season. But I did get that from the books. And I can't wait for the next books to be released and published. Does anybody remember the scene with the Hound and the Clegane Bull, which is fucking awesome? I wish I had an air horn sound effect. That's one of the things I want to get. One of the things I've been doing on my hiatus from YouTube has been a lot of research into the things I want for my setup. So I have like all my sound effects organized. I have my memes. I have my dead memes, and I have like video effects, all that shit, and also equipment that I want to get. One of the things is like a soundboard. Clegane Bull. Anytime somebody says that, like, it should be followed by an air horn, because it is one of the most anticipated events, possibly more anticipated than the Battle for King's Landing. It's just fucking awesome. And the Hound is probably one of my favorite characters, top like 5 out of like, what, 100, 200 characters and like 50 main characters. Yeah, the Hound is, he's just so lovable. Especially after that you know, that whole couple seasons or season with Arya reminded me of The Last of Us. I don't know if you ever played The Last of Us, but dude, it's very reminiscent of that, whether it was done on purpose or on accident. I do feel like another thing that was similar to The Last of Us was that scene with Arya in the library when she had all those fucking zombie people like just like walking around, which didn't seem to make a lot of sense. But this isn't a video about that episode. This is about episode 5. But fucking I want to talk about that, but yeah, no, the show, I like some of the similarities it has to other properties that I like. Anyways, enough praise for the show because we just had Clegane Bowl, and I had an issue, just one issue with Clegane Bowl. I don't know. Nobody's talking in the chat at the moment, but you know, this will also be a VOD. But I don't know if any of you had seen Clegane Bowl at this point. But if you have, I got to say this. Excuse me. Clegane Bowl was cool, and it was visually very satisfying. But just like the thing with Arya and killing the Night King, this scene where the Hound had to find his brother. The Hound is scared of fire, and at the end, when the Hound pushes him off the collapsing stairwell into the burning building, there's a little bit of a callback to the Hound being afraid of fire. But the Hound didn't know. The Hound didn't know that he was going to fall into a burning building. You know, like part of the cool thing about stories is when a character overcomes something they've been struggling with, whether it's a fear of fire, like, and they, after they succeed, they can defeat the thing that they have been trying to defeat, which they've been failing at for so long. But they succeed when they've conquered the thing they need to conquer. So what I would have done if I was writing this episode is, King's Landing, the Red Keep is on fire and it's falling apart. So I would have had the Hound, who's afraid of fire, basically be forced to run through fire to get to his brother. At least like a little bit of that would have been good. Especially it's, you're going to argue that you maybe didn't have enough time, but just take out the scene where he was trying to tell Arya not to follow him. Of course, Arya had to be brought to the cities because the show needed her to see all of the stuff going down, and they needed her to fail at saving people, and they need her to kill Dany in the next episode. But Arya didn't need to be there. You have Arya be this badass, and she kills the Night King, and she does all this cool shit for the entire series. But then, right before she could kill the person that she has most wanted to kill for her entire life, the person that really ruined her family, that is responsible for it, she's just gonna call it quits because the Hound convinces her not to. The Hound says, "Hey, little bird, you're gonna die." And he doesn't call it a little bird, but he says, "You're gonna die if you follow me." And Arya just goes, "Okay. Yeah." Did she not think she was going to die when she ambushed the Night King? I mean, I know she did it from a sneaky spot, but she had to have been pretty sure like she was going to die. And I'm a little upset that she didn't even suffer from killing the Night King. She didn't succeed in anything. She didn't beat any inner issue either to kill the Night King. At least Theon was struggling before he charged the Night King, and Bran helped him, get that final push to just kill the Night King. Arya, she didn't have any character development to destroy the Night King, and the Hound this season or this episode didn't have any progression. Anyways, Arya just says, "All right, I'm gonna dip. I came all this way with you to King's Landing, to leave to just like walk around in the Red Keep for a little bit, Like, why didn't the Hound tell her that she was gonna die before they got to the Red Keep? Hmm? Why? Because he needed her help? Why didn't they show us that? Why didn't they show Arya helping him sneak into the Red Keep? Because I'll take it if you're gonna say like the Hound isn't very sneaky, so he wouldn't have been able. So is that why? Is that why Arya? Somebody messaged. What was the message, Augusta? You don't have to wait. Was it auto retracted? I'm sorry if it was. I think I had some words blocked, and I thought I fixed it, but um, yeah, if it's like the N word or some shit, I'm pretty sure it'll get redacted. uh, I do envy people like iDubbbz who have basically been really smart about just. I don't envy him because he could say the N word. I envy him because he could say anything he wants, and not get flack for it. But anyways, fucking this episode, man. Arya just leaves. And then you have this whole sequence of Arya just running around the city, and she's like, gotta save these people, but she can't save them, which is actually cool. I did appreciate them showing her not trying to kill people and actually trying to do the exact opposite, trying to save people this time, and then just totally failing at it, which would be kind of realistic, I think, maybe. Um, your fortune can only hold out for so long, and her fortune has been that she's had this path kind of paved for her, where she can be an amazing fighter, an amazing assassin. And what are they going to also make her amazing at saving people too? She could theoretically save people, but I'm glad from a storytelling standpoint that they didn't give that to her. Maybe it makes her think about the fact that she's just a killer. Maybe it makes her think about that. That would be cool. That is cool, actually, because it makes me think that. And that's what this show has given me for 10 years. 10 years, I think this show is. Well, I've been watching it for like 6 years. But yeah, the show has given me like fucking interesting thoughts like that. And good on them on having Arya in the episode. But again, all the good things in this episode did not have the proper setup, and that's where it made it hard for me to really get immersed in the show this season. This whole season just hasn't had proper setup. But when I rewatch the episodes and I try to imagine how it could have been done differently, it makes it a little bit easier to at least appreciate the plans that they had. I could totally see the books being absolutely amazing and having a lot of the same events as the show, which is actually really bad. And despite that, still the books are going to be great because they're going to have setup and it's going to be good. And luckily for George R.R. Martin, assuming that he hasn't finished those books, he's going to be able to look at all the people's reactions to this show. And, I don't know if he likes that or doesn't, or does, or likes that or doesn't. But I think that he's going to have a lot of resources to finish his books. And I'm actually not opposed to that. I don't have a problem with him, looking at feedback to the show and maybe changing the way he writes his books, as long as he doesn't change the events and his plan. If he's going to be like Dan and Dave and try to subvert our expectations and maybe have like aliens come down from the sky and like, abduct Arya, make her like a good fucking soldier so she doesn't have to sneak around or some stupid shit like that, like then I would have a problem with it. But I'm talking about like if he, the complaint that there's not enough setup for these amazing events in the show. If he takes that and he actually changes that aspect of his books, that would be great. But I'm pretty sure that even without all these reactions and without the show being published now, his books are probably going to be great anyways, if they ever get done. And a lot of people are thinking that the books will never be done. Some people think, we're so divided now. Some people think all the books are done and he's just waiting to publish them. till after this last episode, and weeks will go by and we'll see all the books. Some people think he'll never finish them. I don't know where I'm at yet. I don't know enough about him. I wish I could meet him. Seems like an interesting dude. I know fans like way back, like when the story wasn't big and famous, world famous, fans would be able to meet him at like conventions and stuff because he would go to those. He loves going to events. That George, even when he should be writing books, he loves going to panels and talking about his previous books. So I'm a little worried that he's incapable of finishing the story, at least on the level of quality that he. But I don't know. Just a little bit worried. I'm pretty confident that he can do it, but yeah, I don't know. I'll tell you one thing. This show and the way it has ended has made me want to, and I'm already started, but it's made me want to write an amazing medieval fantasy story set in this kind of setting. And I've already worked on creating a world for this story, and I'm like drawing tons of maps and working on conflicts. And I got the main conflict for this story, and it's all. I won't even talk about it. I don't want to talk about it right now. Let's talk about this fucking episode. So Arya is trying to get out of the city, and Dany's burning it down. And meanwhile, this like half of the episode has been Dany's dragon, just burning the shit out of everybody, and you get all these different perspectives of being down in the streets, but never of Dany's perspective, which I really appreciate. That was good. That was really good. I think other people like that. I mean, you guys can tell me if you liked it or if you didn't like it. What are some things that you didn't like about the show? If you're able to type, if you're just listening, that's fine too, honestly. But I'm handing out that invitation because I would love to know other people's thoughts. I do get to talk to people about the show, like during work. I'm a Lyft driver, so I've actually already talked to a lot of people about this, and not a lot of people agree with me that the show is bad. At least here in Los Angeles, everybody's like fucking eating this shit up, and that's fine. Like, I have probably friends. Actually, I do have friends that even on Twitter and YouTube that like really like the show, and I'm happy that they do. I'm happy that at least they're getting enjoyment out of it. As far as what Drogon's super duper buff, yeah, he was fucking ridiculous. They just buffed the shit out of him. Either that or he's always been buffed. Either way, I'm pretty upset about that. I guess he was never. Yeah, he was injured. He was injured by a ballista. So tell me this shit, because I just remembered something. Why in the caravan assault was Bronn able to nail a shot on Drogon in either the first or second try, but you're telling me a fleet, like almost the entire Iron Fleet fitted with ballistas, wasn't able to hit him? Maybe okay, they're on ships, they're on choppy water, the water's moving, so that's hard. But why they shouldn't have been able to hit the previous dragon? Fine. They have ballistas on the walls, right? So you're telling me that Bronn is a better shot than all of those people put together? I'm not gonna like. We should be saying Bronn is super buffed, I think, because like I guess it's really hard to operate a ballista unless you're aiming at a dragon from a mile away. Fucking. Here's an issue about that. So this is the previous episode that I'm going to talk about. I'm just going to kind of clarify there. So we've been talking about this episode for so long. You have that ambush that I just mentioned, and that you're kind of thinking about too. K Taylor 145. You have that scene where they hit him, and what was I thinking? Oh my god, fuck! I think I forgot what I was going to say. Drogon. They hit him. I'm gonna just let there be dead air because I really want to remember this, and I'm not even worried. I'm not worried about this right now. I'm really straining my head right now. Yeah, we were talking about Braun. He should, like, he shouldn't have been able to hit that dragon if it was so hard for all of these people to do it. I wanted to talk about the last episode where they fucking hit the dragon, I guess. I already said that I would be okay with them killing Viserion or whatever. I would be okay with that, with them killing a dragon from a mile away, if they had shot like 1,000 bolts at him and then hit him with a few. Like, I would be okay with that. Or maybe even like 20 bolts. Like, you just had, at first you see Emilia Clarke and she's just flying in the sunshine and everything's dandy. And then all of a sudden you hear like, phew, 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 like that kind of shit. And then you cut to the other dragon and he's getting hit. He gets hit by like one. And then I'm okay with it, right? What'd be really cool is if they missed a bunch of shots, but as soon as they got one shot, he started falling, and that's when it was easier for them to shoot. I don't know, like that's pretty, like, it's not exactly realistic, but I think it would have been better than what they did. I think it would kind of, like, people that don't understand that kind of thing probably would have thought it was cool. Like, this is how fucking sad this is, that I'm trying to think in the headspace that HBO and executives DB Weiss and Dan were thinking, which is, hey, let's do the bare minimum that people will accept. At least the normies would accept, and all those people that are critical, well, we'll pull what Netflix did, or what Amy Schumer did, or what the cast of Ghostbusters remake did. We'll just say they're all like stupid and mean and trolls and racist and sexist and homophobic. Like, yeah, you do that. If anybody criticizes your show, and see how many fans you have after that. Fucking Dan and Dave. They're gonna fit in. I that's not what their MO is. Hopefully it stays that way. But maybe I'm convinced that it's not something that they would never do, because they're going to Lucasfilms. If Kathleen Kennedy wanted these guys, they are clearly woke. And when I say woke, I hope you don't. I hope you understand. When I say woke, it's not in an endearing way. It's not in a good way. Anyways, back to this episode. I got on my phone, like I've said before, and it's on this part. We're past the episode. It's ended, and you're watching the behind the scenes. Dan and Dave in every single behind the scenes are so obviously full of themselves. I wouldn't be surprised if they're straight, but they still try to suck each other's dicks. Like, they are so in love with themselves that it's just like, it blows my mind that they even like could make it in entertainment. And I know that sounds a little weird, like, oh yeah, well, everybody in entertainment, like, is a little full of themselves, but people in entertainment do have some kind of judge of character. And it's like, can you imagine being around these guys? They're fucking, like, they're annoying. I hate hearing them talk about themselves because they show no self-awareness. They have no self-awareness about themselves. It drives me nuts, as you can see. So they're always talking about, like, oh yeah, we wanted to portray this thing with doing that, and we thought we did a really good job. And Emilia Clarke, she's so good. She's so good at what she does. It was really hard. Yeah, and we're also really good directors or producers or whatever the fuck. Like, they really want you to understand how good they are. God, thank God for them that they also compliment other people. Like, they compliment the cast and the crew, and which is good on them. Good on them for complimenting other people other than themselves, because if they didn't, even normies would be able to see through it. And they'd be like, oh, well, these are two of the most stuck-up people. Obviously, they know that. Like, hey, we can't keep talking about how good we are. I'm really laying it on pretty thick with them. I'm sorry, but I do not like those guys. They're total hacks. You're gonna tell me in one of the behind the scenes, they said that Danny, for the last episode, when she got her dragon fucking shot down, in the behind the scenes, they're like, oh, Danny, yeah, she kind of just forgot about the Iron Fleet. And but they didn't forget about her. Oh, fuck you guys. Fuck you. You're gonna tell me that Varys, 10 minutes before they showed her getting her dragon shot down, Varys actually says, hey, we got the Iron Fleet to worry about, so we want the dragons to fly with us. The whole point of her flying her dragons with the fleet was because they actually had real enemies in the ocean. That was the whole point. She didn't fly with the land army, the Northmen, most of the Unsullied and the Dothraki, the Knights of the Vale. Like, she could have flown with them, but she didn't because of the Iron Fleet. So these guys are just fucking saying, like, oh, it's convenient for her to be surprised and shocked and ambushed and have her dragon killed. So that's all, that's going to happen. We have to make that happen. Oh, Dan and Dave, what are you going to do to write that and make it make sense? Oh, well, she's going to forget about him. Okay. All right, yeah, let's all buy that. I can't wait until they make Star Wars movies. Yeah, it's going to be great. Fucking so tired of this show. Before this season, I would say, like, if you want to go back to season 4, like when I first watched the show and I caught up to I think I caught up to season 5. That's when I started watching. If you were asked me back then, I would say this is my favorite show on television, and it's the second best show on television, like objectively. Breaking Bad, I think, is the first. And I would watch Game of Thrones till the day I die. Like, I would keep an HBO subscription for life. I would be a lifetime customer of HBO just for that show. If they did like spin-offs and if they did this show forever, which obviously that doesn't really make sense, and it's not good for a show to do that. But if you would have asked me like 6 years ago, yeah, that's what I would have said. Now, after this season, I can't wait for it to be over. I'm just so ready for it to be done. Yeah, I'm. Does anybody else feel this way? Like, I know people are upset about the show, but are you guys just like ready for the show to be done? Even as a fan, like a hardcore fan, I'm somebody that looks at videos like that are not even about the main storyline, that are about like the fucking the Maesters. What is it? Old Town. What's that? Citadel, the Great Citadel. It's like university. It's in Old Town. I know where it is. I just don't know what it's called. Or is it the Citadel? I'm like somebody that watches videos about like the weird, even about Essos, which we're never going to really see until like years down the line when it's like one of the other spin-off series. It's not going to be The Long Night, which is the only one I think that's been confirmed. Essos, though, it's not going to be in that. And I've watched videos about like individual cities in Essos. And I know about, dark magic and fucking this whole world I've put so much into. And despite that, this season alone has taken me from like, I'll watch 15 seasons of this to just finish it. Just wrap it up. I just want to know what happens, and I want to see the spin-off series. I'll know within the first season whether the spin-off series are going to be good. I won't know if the ending is going to be good, but I'll know if like the journey, the ride is worth it. Just like with Game of Thrones, like the first season, I was hooked. I don't know. By the way, just like general discussion here, off the episode topic. I don't know how people that I've met can watch just one season of Game of Thrones and be like, yeah, I'm over it. Like, I'm not somebody that'll be like, hey, you should like this show if you've seen it. I don't want to be one of those people. I'm just like, I don't know how. Like, I don't know how something as amazing as season 1 through 4, or even just the first 2 seasons, can turn you off of that. Like, turn you off of like finding out more. Um, the world building alone is interesting, even without the amazing storytelling. Let me take some water before I read your comments, Kay Taylor. And hey, so I used to have a white cup. I don't even know if anybody here is like an old time viewer of the channel, but I had this ongoing meme where I always drank out of a white cup that was opaque. So it was totally like you couldn't tell what was in it. So people would always make little jokes about what was in the cup. It became a meme. And I'm sorry, but it's a new era in the channel. New cup, new era. This is Rubber Dorky season 2. Anyways, K Taylor 145 says, I think a thing amongst many things, close bracket, that is bugging me about the season is that Arya and Bran could have killed the Whites, and Dany and her dragon could have beaten the Lannister. Feel like everyone else is not relevant for these big conflicts. Yeah. Yeah. I already know what the showrunners would say to that, but I have to agree with your side more, because other people say that and their feelings are valid. You know, basically the showrunners would say this to you: oh, you don't think you think that Arya and Bran could have killed the Whites by themselves? Well, how about this? All the other characters, basically, just by being in their spots where they were fated to be from the beginning, they bought time for Arya to stick a knife in the Night King. Even Theon, who sacrificed himself for like, you know, stalled the Night King for like 2 seconds. That 2 seconds saved everybody's ass. And it gave Arya just a little bit more time to get to the Night King. Like, I'm okay with that, but I'm definitely more dissatisfied than I am satisfied with that, because the way they presented it wasn't enough like that. It didn't give viewers that sense, that everything was down to the very, very tight schedule, and everyone needed to be where they were destined to be. There were some things like that, like, Bran saying to people, if you hadn't have done the thing, then you wouldn't be here right now serving your purpose. There were some things like that, but they should have, if they're gonna say like Theon was needed there to buy 3 seconds for Arya, they should have also kind of implied that this is a very strong time crunch thing. Like, everything is down to the second. Which did anybody get that impression? No, I don't think so. And you also said that Dany and her dragon could have beaten the Lannisters, beaten the Lannister army. Yeah, they could have. There's nothing stopping her. The only complaint about that I can think of that I didn't like is people saying that Dany could have gone behind the Iron Fleet because all the ballistas are in the front of the ships. But do none of those people like consider that boats aren't like cars on a freeway? They don't all face the same way. But you're a fleet of ships, if they're moving, yeah, sure, they're all facing the same way. But those ships were all stopped. And why would they ever be moving if they were in combat with a flying monster that's always going to catch them anyways? Just stay where you are, because you're only moving at like what, 5 miles an hour anyways, whatever that is in knots. Like, there's no, so basically a captain of a ship would not decide to move. And that's the only reason they would be facing the same way. So all those people complaining, like saying Arya could have just gone behind the ships, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. Like, no, the ships are going to be facing different directions. Maybe they weren't in, like, we didn't see the entire fleet, but some of it was hidden behind rocks. But I think they were all faced the same way. But realistically, no, the ships, like, that's one thing I won't accept about the story. The ships would be facing different directions. But yeah, in general, Dany and the sack of King's Landing, Dany and her dragon could have totally taken everything by themselves. Augustina Duca says, "Hello, I'm Tina. I'm listening. Your thoughts on Varys' death? Cersei and Jaime dying together? And by the way, I was thinking about the white horse at the end. If okay, I'll wait for your thing. Well, I'm gonna probably keep talking. And thank you for listening. By the way, it's great. Cersei and Jaime dying together. I was totally gonna talk about Cersei and Jaime, and then I got to the end of the episode, forgot about that. In the beginning of this stream, I talked a bit about Varys' death. I'll just say, like, Varys. I'm still undecided about how I feel about the story part of that, but I was very upset about Varys dying, and I knew that last episode he was going to die. And I told my friend, I was watching the episode with my friend a couple days ago, and I was telling her, like, before we even started, that I do not want Varys to die. He's one of my favorite characters. Tyrion, like, he's the only one that could betray him. He's the only person that could lead him to die. But he does. And it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense to me, especially given that Tyrion, you know, on one hand, in this situation with Varys, chooses his queen over his possibly best friend, right? Varys. And that was the choice that he had to make. He had to make a choice between them. Either treason or letting your best friend die. And that's a cool conflict to have in a story. But then later in the episode, Jaime gets caught by Dany's forces, and Tyrion, as a hand of a king or hand of the queen, decides to go and talk to Jaime. And I thought they were just going to talk, because there's no way that Tyrion is going to free Jaime after he chose the queen. Like, his loyalty to the queen is absolute at this point, right? But they had to they had to get Jaime into the city, and they had to have this beautiful moment between Tyrion and his brother Jaime, and it was a beautiful moment. The mirroring between this moment and when Jaime freed him, like, that was great. But and also it was emotionally the best scene in the episode, possibly the best scene in the show. I mean, not in the show, the season. Possibly the best scene in the show. Them kind of almost crying on each other's shoulders. That was really amazing. At least emotionally. Story, nah, I think it was kind of polluted with bad story. Because Tyrion shouldn't have freed him in that character. I don't think he should have. People would disagree with me, though, on that. They would say, people might say that, yeah, he'll let Varys die, but free his brother. It's his brother. It's his family. He'll betray his queen for his brother. It's at least hard for me to believe. I'm not gonna say it wouldn't happen, but I'm gonna kind of challenge that a little bit. I don't like that. I only don't like it because he let Varys die. I don't think he should have let Varys die. I don't think it's, Tyrion is such an idiot now, and everybody agrees that he's an idiot. And he used to be the the face of the show. He used to be the most clever person on television. And what I think this episode should have started with was him helping Varys. Maybe get out of Dragonstone or some shit. But it's very out of character for him to be betraying Varys. It's not out of character for him to save Jaime, is my point. But if they're going to change his character and say, hey, you know, he'll choose his queen, then why are you letting him free Jaime? Anyways. But thank God Jaime makes it to the city, because Cersei and Jaime die together. So you want to know my thoughts on that? I'm not in love with how they did that. I think that this story has told us and implied that Cersei was going to be killed by one of her brothers on purpose. Like, they would have their hands around her neck and strangle her to death. And I've watched videos about like breaking this theory down and talking about the show and all the setup for it. And I'll tell you this, after watching hours and hours of various YouTubers talk about this, everybody was fooled. Everybody thought that Jaime would kill her. And I thought it was very cool that they found a way to have Jaime Cersei still died with Jaime's hands or arms around her neck. And I thought that was amazing. Jaime wasn't trying to kill her. That's great. I had a huge problem with Jaime going back to King's Landing at all. Him just being like, Brienne, she didn't have a good enough pussy. I'm going back to my sister. Like, it made no sense. I was convinced he was going back there to kill Cersei. You know why? Let's go back to that episode. So Cersei and Jaime dying together, mixed feelings. Going back to that episode, when Jaime leaves Winterfell, the thing that spurs him to leave, check this out, is learning the news that Cersei has turned the tide of the war. And Cersei has the upper hand by a long shot. She's killed one of Dany's dragons. So what that told me when Jaime was all like, fuck, was Jaime wants Dany to win, right? And it looks like Cersei is going to win. Cersei's going to be even better off now. So there wasn't anything telling Jaime that Cersei was in trouble, right? Unless Jaime thinks like, oh, now that Cersei killed a dragon, like Dany is going to be, I don't know, super buffed, and she's going to get the enraged effect, and it'll be more likely that Dany takes King's Landing now. But that's fucking stupid. So what the message that I got from that whole sequence was, hey, your sister, like, we just got news that she fucked up our allies, and your sister has the upper hand even more so, and your sister's fucking killing it down there in King's Landing. So Jaime goes, hey, Brienne, I know we've been fucking for a couple weeks, but I got to go back down to my sister. I got to do something about that shit, because I'm a hateful dude. So what that told me was, oh shit, he just heard news that Cersei has the upper hand now, and he's going down there. So a lot of people like me thought that he was going to kill his sister. And looking back, it doesn't make any fucking sense that was trying to find something. Oh, there it is. Doesn't make any fucking sense to me that they even tried to. Did they try to fool us? Are they just trolling us now? Like, yeah, and not even giving us good story? Like, because there's no good reason. You're supposed to have rules to a show, man. Like, there's no good reason Jaime would hear that Cersei has the upper hand and then go down there to not kill Cersei. He's just going down there because he wants to be with her. He can go down there at any point. he heard that Cersei is fucking things up. Why would that make him want to be with her more? After his entire character arc of becoming this selfless man who, actually loves people, and he's breaking away from Cersei because she's done him so wrong, subverting your expectations, lol. Yeah, that's all it fucking is. That's all it fucking is. And in the books, he's gonna try to do the same thing, but I guarantee he's gonna give you a better reason. Was hoping he would ring the bell or do something cool or important. K Taylor 145 says, I was hoping Jamie would do something more important. Well, I mean, he had the fight with Euron. Wasn't that super epic? Wasn't it more epic too when Euron broke the fourth wall to say he killed Jamie? Nobody's gonna fucking know that you killed Jamie, dude. Nobody's gonna know. Why are you so happy about it? Fucking nut. Like, ugh, man. They could have had Jamie ring the bell. That's a good point. They could have had Jamie do that. And that would play into his character. Because, while I'm trying to make the point in last episode, especially like that Jamie, or the episode before, that Jamie shouldn't be, he shouldn't be going back to Cersei. It's like reverting his character arc. Iris Black, hey, what's going on? Say hello. Thank you. Says hello. Yeah, I think it's reverting his character arc, but if he's gonna be down there, if the writers are gonna try to fucking revert his character arc, and there's nothing I can do about it, if you're gonna try to say that he wants to save Cersei, how amazing would it be if he was one of the people that rung a bell to try to keep what's her face from? But here's the problem with that. That could be a really good thing, but realistically, like I'm still trying to look at this show from a realistic standpoint. The bells don't necessarily mean surrender. They don't. The bells don't mean that. A lot of characters didn't do anything. Yeah. Oh my God, Iris Black, you're so right. You said, to be fair, a lot of characters didn't do anything this season have lost their character arc completely. Yeah, they have. They really have. Sansa. She's Littlefinger 2.0 all of a sudden. When it took Littlefinger probably like decades of character development to be that savvy and that clever, Sansa is just that clever all off the bat. Even though Sansa, like her early childhood development was in a situation where she never needed to be clever. Sansa was never put in situations where, like, up until recently, Sansa didn't grow up in a situation where she had to be clever. Like, she was literally like the princess of Winterfell. She was given everything that she needed. So why all of a sudden is it so easy for her to be this political mastermind? Smarter than Tyrion, who actually has had to be clever. Like, he's been persecuted his whole life. Yeah, no, it's fucking ridiculous. Okay, so Iris Black, Tyrion, Jon, Arya, Jaime, Cersei, Dany, the Night King. The list goes on and on. Yeah, those people too. Arya's arc was all about family, revenge, letting go of revenge, forgiveness, love, but family and revenge, right? Why, when she did one of the biggest things in the show, killed the Night King, why when she did that, she didn't need to overcome anything? Like, in this episode, she kind of let go of revenge, which is a cool thing. How come she didn't have to do that when she killed the Night King? Like, from a storytelling perspective, that would have been kind of genius if you could figure out a way to write it. But I don't think Dan and Dave do know how to write something like that, to basically say, in order to kill the Night King, we're going to imply that we're going to imply that Arya had to overcome some personal struggle. But no, she's just a fucking good assassin, and the goodest assassin does the thing that saves everybody. Like, okay, yeah, and nobody ever compare this to Lord of the Rings. I mean, unless it's in a sense he is wheeling around. Okay, yeah, I am wheeling around. Okay, so let me catch up. Jay Willie Series says, "Where did you get all that hair from?" Thanks, man. I've been growing it for a while. I'm glad you like it, even though I'm not sure if you I like it in general. I like having long hair. Um, you know, I kind of grew it out from a little bit inspired by Tyrion from Game of Thrones, who happens to be one of the dumbest characters in the show now. Dumber than the Lady of Winterfell, who grew up spent most of her life as a spoiled brat. A character who's dumber than her. So yeah, that's what my hairstyle is based off of. Sansa didn't do shit all her life. She is where she is because of the actions of other people. I think you could say that, yeah. Jay Willie Series, can we mention spoilers in this chat? No spoilers, please. If you want to talk about spoilers, we can do that in my Discord. Do I have my Discord linked below? I don't think I have it linked. I really don't have a problem talking about like you clearly want to talk about spoilers with people, and that's fine. I won't be like, oh, I'm fucking talking about it somewhere else. I'll link my Discord in the chat right now, because I'm interested in talking about spoilers too. I think it's gonna happen next episode. Okay, wait. Yep. Yours Black says, I forgot Bran, another butchered character. Yeah, pretty much. There was a contradiction about Bran that I had thought of, but I forgot it. I can't remember it at the moment. But it's a pretty big one. Okay, I'm not looking at chat right now, so sorry if I don't respond for a minute. There we go. All right, so that's my Discord. I'm going to be hopping off stream in a little bit, so I'll talk to you there if you want. Jay Willie Series, you're a mod? Are you a YouTuber? One of my YouTuber friends, or are you an old-time fan of the channel? I don't recognize the name, and I'm really sorry for not recognizing it. Did you change your name on here like a while ago? It's been a long time, man. So I don't know. I'm sorry. So Agustina Duca says, what do you think is going to happen next episode? Oh, I'll give you some shit. I'll give you some shit right now. I have a hope. I have like different things that I think are going to happen. Jay Willie Series, I'm growing out my hair because my black female friend thought it was pretty and wanted it, so I am giving it to her. You give it to her, man. Fuck yeah. Dude, girls love long hair. They love it. I've had some girls tell me like cut your hair, but that was when I first I like had my hair in like a really weird, like fucking awkward length thing, and it wasn't good. It wasn't. But those girls didn't understand that it's in a phase, you know, and it's I'm growing it out to a certain point. So a tiny one. I was on your live stream once. Oh, dude, I think did we talk? I think we talked about politics once. Anyways, what do I think is going to happen? Agustina, yeah. I think I think that Arya, and I've said this since the scene where the Hound and Arya were on their horses leaving Winterfell. I said this. I've been thinking this since then, and I said it on Twitter. They're gonna kill. Arya is gonna kill Dany. She's not like I thought that she wasn't even going down to King's Landing. I thought Arya was going to Dragonstone to kill Dany. So in this next episode, I think that Arya is definitely going to kill Dany now, because they did some real setup for it, where Arya was around the city, and that was the whole point of her going to King's Landing, because she certainly didn't kill Cersei, so she needed to be down there to see all the carnage and see how bad Dany was, and so she's gonna kill Dany. I think because of that. Let's talk about some things that'll sprout from that. Jon is going to be very upset with Arya for good reason, because it's still fucked up. Killing somebody, whether or not they're evil, is it is a complicated thing. So that's why it should be a hard decision, because it's not necessarily good to kill bad people either. Let's see. There you go. So Dany is going to kill Tyrion for sure, and maybe Jon too. I think Sansa will end up on the throne. I don't like that idea either. You said you don't like that idea? Yeah, I do not like the idea of Sansa being on the throne. Like, I know Sansa's a lot of people's favorites, but do those people seriously want her on the throne? Like, that, why? Like, it's kind of cool because she's wanted it all her life, but that's all based on stuff that she's gotten past, like inner issues, like thinking that, I got to be a queen, and I got to get married off, and I'm gonna live in a castle someday. And it's like, oh, that's what she's always wanted. She's always wanted to live in a castle and be a queen. Oh, it's kind of cool for her to get to do that. No, it's, dude, her character thing should be about, like, I mean, I'm not gonna say it should or shouldn't, but my world, it should be about, like, overcoming that spoiled, rotten attitude, and she, like, they think, since Sansa should be a ruler because she talked about the food rations, and Sansa should be sitting on the Iron Throne because when winter was coming, she said that the armor should have warm leather padding. Do you realize that the writers for that scene, when they said, when they had the scene last season, Arya was pointing to the blacksmiths making armor. She was like, shouldn't they? She's such a one-note character. Like, shouldn't they have leather in the iron plates? And he's like, oh shit, fuck. Oh, we didn't do any of that. Yeah, we should do that right now. Like, do you realize that Dan and Dave had to make all of these northern locals, these local northerners, stupid as shit to make Sansa look smart? They had to make northerners look stupid to make Sansa look smart, because who the fuck, the Lord of the Vale, and like, he was the guy that was all shocked at the idea. He was just like flabbergasted at the concept of having warm leather. By the way, leather wouldn't be as good as cloth, but whatever. Yeah, they're all just fucking shocked. So they're all incompetent. Sansa is, oh yeah, slay queen, yas. You tell those men what to do. That's so good. So Sansa, yeah, she would be a great ruler, because apparently everybody else in this world that's like persisted, and this world that's gotten to this point, like, how do they even fucking survive, in the North, if they couldn't do this before? If they're that incompetent, if they're so incompetent that they didn't know to put something warm in their armor, how do they fucking survive? It's like Sansa is like the only person that I don't fucking. I'm so done. I can't even keep talking about that. You guys get it, right? Like, Sansa might be a Mary Sue. Arya, not a Mary Sue. Everything that Arya has done, and everything that Arya is capable of, they've given good setup for it. but Arya in season 8, episode 3 was a Deus Ex Machina. That was Arya, but she's not a Mary Sue. I don't think a lot of people are even saying she's a Mary Sue. All I hear online is YouTubers saying that she's not. Like, oh, I don't want to say that Arya is a Mary Sue. Nobody's fucking saying that, dude. You know, all you got is people on Twitter being like, oh, you know, people aren't happy that Arya killed the Night King because they're saying she's a Mary Sue. No, fucking, that's not the reason. We're not even unhappy with her being the person to do it. But I'm a little unhappy with that. I'm unhappy with them not setting it up well. I'm unhappy with it being such a big issue, and not that she just does it and it's done and it's done very quickly. I still don't have a problem with that. My problem is that she didn't have to overcome anything to basically, you know, defeat evil, to defeat death. She didn't. She has a little conversation with Melisandre, and Melisandre reminds her that she told her she would kill some people, and she tells her that thing that, you know, that callback, another reference to season 1. What do we say to death? Not today. Oh yeah, well, that, you know, this episode, yeah, it's as good as that episode. Now I feel so much better about this episode because they're using all these quotes. Fuck you, Dan and Dave. Okay, Iris Black. I think Sansa will end up on the throne. I don't like the idea, but I said I'd agree. Dany is going to kill Tyrion for sure, and maybe Jon too. That would be interesting. I'm thinking Jon is going to kill Dany. There's a prophecy that I don't think they're not going to have in the show, but there's a prophecy that Jon, like, they think that he was a Azor Ahai, and in the prophecy, in order to defeat evil or something, Jon had to take Lightbringer or a sword and stick it into his love's heart. Okay, so he had to kill. So we're thinking that Jon is going to kill Dany, and that's at least going to be a reference to the books. At least going to be a callback to this prophecy that was kind of hinted at, that they're kind of shitting on by having Arya kill the Night King. But I'm okay with it because she's probably the only person that's capable of killing the Night King. Jay Willie Series says, I'm starting to liking the Lannisters more in the recent episode. This is no spoilers. This is also no grammars. Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of liked the Lannisters. You know, Tywin, he was one of my favorites, especially as an actor. The guy who plays Tywin, and those scenes with Tywin and Arya were some of the best scenes of the show. They did a really good job because in the books, Arya never met Tywin, and in the show, Arya is the cupbearer for Tywin, and that change from the books to the show is really good. I think that was one of the best changes. Yeah, well, I could do a whole video talking about the changes, like some of the good ones, some of the bad ones. That would be an interesting video, but it won't be on this channel. In the description, if you can see below, there are some links below. Something about super chats saying that they're appreciated. But below that, I do have a channel that I'm going to be starting. It's already kind of started, but it's going to be about TV, film, and all that. I'm going to have 3 channels, maybe 4. And I know that sounds daunting, but it really isn't, because you know, this channel is going to be edited content, this and that. And it's just a quick update. Like, for the next 30 seconds, just humor me for a second. One channel, like, that I have linked below is going to be like a lot of Game of Thrones content and a lot of spin-off content. I'm going to be doing breakdowns, reviews, and all that kind of stuff, talking about the storytelling in the Game of Thrones franchise. And I'm probably going to be going into like other franchises too, like Star Wars. Kind of catch up with books. There's a lot of books about Star Wars now, and, you know, from Disney, published by Disney. So I'm going to do entertainment news on the channel that's linked below. Wink, wink. I didn't even wink. And then I'm going to be doing a gaming channel. And the possible fourth channel would just be like shit posts, YouTube poops, vlogs, stuff like that. But the reason why it's not as daunting as, and I know I've gone more than 30 seconds, the reason it's not as daunting as you might think is the gaming channel and the entertainment channel I linked below are not going to have like super edited videos like the ones I did a couple years back. They're not going to be like, have like fancy edits or little skits. It's going to be, it'll have humor. They'll have humor and they'll have good writing and, it'll be good content, but it won't be edited. It'll be like, like streams like this. And some of them will be just like, reaction videos and stuff like that, but actual good reaction videos. Yeah, so we're done talking about that. Back to the show. Back to the show. So you're starting to like the Lannisters more. I'm glad you're starting to like the Lannisters more. They are worthy of a like from you. They are. They're really cool. Iris Black says, I don't understand all these girls rooting for Sansa and Dany, saying that they are role models. Seriously, as a female myself, I feel offended by those role models. Yeah, I would especially be offended by somebody like Sansa. Sansa is like the epitome of what like a MGTOW, or men that go their own way. Sansa is the epitome of what a MGTOW thinks all women are. Spoiled, whiny, really, really shallow. That's what Sansa was for the majority of the show. And also, she could be a Mary Sue because she's not Littlefinger 2.0. It's not canon. I'm not going to accept that she is a political mastermind. That's just, I'm not suspending my disbelief for that. And a number of other things in the show, I just don't see as canon. The last few episodes are fanfic to me. Yeah, Sansa's ridiculous. And as a role model, like, to even go that far is ridiculous. It's just like absolutely nuts. J. Willie Series says, that makes perfect sense. Iris Black, I would have guessed so. It seems offensive. Yeah, it does make sense. They're both entitled brats. Dany, yeah, Dany's pretty entitled. I have to think about that. Like Dany's past and everything. Dany's entitled. I feel better about her character though, for some reason. I have to think about why I like Dany more than Sansa. Probably because she's been through so much more and she has some reason to be so motivated. Sansa's been through a lot, but not for long enough. Like not long enough. Oh my God, yes. Oh my God, yes, Iris Black. So true. It's no surprise. It's no surprise that I like the Lannisters way more. I like how they are now, not how they were at the beginning because they were just awful. Yeah, they were awful. But they're cool. They're interesting. Like maybe you don't like them in the sense you'd hang out with the Lannisters, but like their backstories, their lore, like they're probably the most interesting family on the show. The way they started, the way that Tywin actually turned their house around, and the reasoning for Tywin being such a dick and like wanting to have a legacy is very interesting. And it's actually pretty similar to one of the character motivations that I'm going to have in some book. I don't even know where I'm going to put it, but I identify with Tywin quite a bit, Tywin Lannister, because I have gone through feelings of having my family kind of not destroyed, but I've definitely gone through feelings of having my family destroyed, I guess, for lack of a better word. And that that event will give you that want to start a legacy and make a family that will last forever. And it's kind of a hard thing to even do. So it's made their family interesting, because here you have Tywin, who wants his family to last for thousands of years. He talks about it in the show. We can create a dynasty that lasts for thousands of years, or 1,000 years. And that's all he cares about doing. And he has a good reason for it. There's good setup. It's not in the show, but it's before the show. And yeah, I have the same desire, you know? But since it's such a hard thing, you have all of these conflicts that spur out of it. You know, he's a shit parent. He's terrible to his kids. And it creates a really interesting backdrop for the Lannister story. So true. It's no surprise that I like the Lannisters way more. Oh yeah. Iris Black says one of my favorites is Kevin Lannister. So I agree. Kevin Lannister, the uncle. Yeah, he's interesting. Kevin Lannister is the father to Lancel Lannister, right? He's the father to the kid that goes to the religious cult. Can't remember the name right now. Wow. Is it only, Jay really says, is it only me, or are the houses who are a bit more evil than others more likable, as it seems like the good guys are quite boring in comparison? Yeah, you could say that. I think I hope I didn't convince you that the evil houses were the only interesting houses, because the Starks are interesting too. Like, the Starks are the penultimate good guys of the show, but they have interesting backstory. Some of their backstory has kind of been ruined by episode 3. Like, there was some theories that, you know, about the backstory that the Starks, you know, they had this tradition where every time a Stark lord would die, and even any Stark, they would be buried in the crypts of Winterfell, right? For like thousands of years or something. And you have the Night King coming, who can raise the dead. And all they did with that in episode 3 was, he raised the dead, and that happened to affect the crypt dead too. So they're all bad, and they came to life and tried to kill everybody. Like, that's all they did with it. But what people thought the show was going to do with that was all these people, you know, maybe they would fight for the North, you know, or maybe there would be more backstory coming out from this, saying, like, you know, the dead who were brought back, they knew that they would be brought back someday to do something. Maybe they're on the Night King's side, maybe they're not. I don't fucking care. At least say something about that, but they didn't. But regardless, the Starks are a very interesting family too, as well as the Lannisters. Maybe they're not as interesting, but they're pretty cool. The Tyrells are interesting too. Alana Tyrell and the people before her. Let's see. Agustina Duca says, some people were saying that Sansa is a mix of Littlefinger and Cersei. Yeah, that's what the show wants us to think. That Sansa is a Littlefinger slash Cersei. Because she learned so much. So now she's a political mastermind. Danny is such a millennial. Oh, this would be good. Danny is a millennial. Did you see the coffee in front of her in episode 4? Yeah, she's a millennial with her little Starbucks. Yeah, you could say that. That mistake doesn't even bother me that much. It's just a good meme. And thank God for that happening too, because I want memes to come out of this show, and that was one of the biggest things. And it's going to attract so many memesters, and we're going to get so much good shit out of this dumpster fire of a show, of a season. So we're going to get a lot of good memes, at least. That's what I'm hoping for. Danny is such a millennial. As soon as she got those dragons, she thought that everything was supposed to be handed to her. I liked her more in book 1. Yeah. Excuse me. Yeah, she basically thought that she could just demand everything. That might be that's a little bit of the Targaryen in her. Okay. Jay Willie serious. Sorry, I meant to say that I have a small YouTube channel. So do I. Hey, you guys have YouTube channels? Dude, nice. Ah, fuck. That's awesome. Dude, if you ever join the Discord, there is a channel, like a text channel in the Discord, my Discord, that I'll link again. And there is a shameless self-promotion channel that you can link your videos to. And I actually watch those videos sometimes. Every month or so, like I'll check out the Discord. It's kind of a dead Discord at the moment, but it's a good one to. This would be a good Discord to bookmark because I'm going to be working on the community and trying to grow it. So if you're interested, yeah, follow that Discord. At the very least, if you're a YouTuber, you could post your content in there. I'd totally be fine with that. Just make sure it's in the channel that says shameless self-promotion, because that's what it is. It is shameless self-promotion. I post them there sometimes too. Anyways, yeah, fucking, you're right. You're right. Danny is a millennial. I was never really in love with Danny's character. I also like even from a superficial standpoint, I was never really attracted to her. Like obviously, the actor Emilia Clarke, like she's way out of my league, even if you take away the acting aspect and her being a millionaire at this point. She's absolutely gorgeous. But just like subjectively, objectively, subjectively, I think she's not my type. Emilia Clarke, like I've never really been attracted to her. I never understood, one, people saying that she's super hot, and two, people saying that she's like the best character in the show. I just didn't understand that. I didn't get it. Yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Emilia is stunning. Danny, not so much. Yeah, if you take her as a person, her character. Yeah. Like Emilia Clarke too. So like seems like she's got a great personality. Like she's always smiles and like like laughing, making jokes on set and stuff. So, oh no. I don't want an update. I do not want an update right now. Okay. Yeah, she's always saying shit. She seems cool. And that's why I was saying I don't think she is very good at doing insanity, like absolute mad queen. I don't think she did it right. I don't think she showed much of a progression into it at all. I think her understanding of insanity was like, oh, I gotta convey fear and confusion, and then I can go to insane from there. And it's like, no, like confusion is like one of the first things on the way to insanity, like I don't fucking know. Like, and then self-delusion, like that should have been there, but what was she deluded about? Unfortunately, we didn't get to know her thoughts. That's why I think the book will do a way better job at that scene, like that scene with her on the walls deciding whether in the behind the scenes, they actually kind of explained it too. In the behind the scenes, Dan and Dave were like, oh, she's on the top of the wall. She hears the bells ringing. The city surrendered. And she just decides that she is not satisfied. It wasn't enough. Okay, if it wasn't enough, then take the city, get off your dragon, go to the Red Keep, and take Cersei and just fucking flay her skin off. I don't get it. She just burns innocent civilians because she needs to like let it out or some shit. She's a millennial that's total millennial shit. Like, oh yeah, I need satisfaction right now. I can't hold, I gotta jack off right now. I can't hold it. Like fucking all right, Iris Black says, okie dokie. Gotta go now. It was a good chat. Only the rest of the stream. Wait, enjoy the rest of the stream and have a good day. Yeah, thank you. I hope to see you again. It was great talking to you. Hope you come back. All right. Gustina. This is the first time I found your channel. Very interesting. Thanks for reading my questions. Oh, dude, no problem. Like I'm glad you're here. It's interesting actually having a direction for the discussion rather than my like random ADD mind. like going from topic to topic. But yeah, Danny is total millennial, right? She she couldn't hold off for a second. She couldn't even like get off her dragon and start like stabbing a dead body if she like she's fucking insane. Like she needs to be violent, right? She's gonna burn her city down. That's your city. I can understand it if you lead her up to something, give her some fucking setup um, that finalizes the progression to insanity, but they didn't give her that. She just she goes nuts. That level is you know what I've said. I said this on Twitter. I think Danny Daenerys Khaleesi, the breaker of chains. Next episode, she better be babbling like an idiot next episode, and fucking just like knocking her head on the wall. Like she's just she should just be out of her mind next episode based on what she did. Like that's what you got to be doing. That's where she's at. That's canon. If that's canon, then I'm making my own thing canon. And Dan and Dave next week, they'll release their fan fiction. Fucking ridiculous. Sorry, I gotta smoke. If this is loud, I'm gonna do it in a second. Tell me. I'll start muting myself. It's been a while since I've streamed, so if you could tell me. I hope it's not too loud. Okay. Anyways, J. Willie Series says, with awful, I meant that many of them were evil, not that they were bad written because they were very good written, especially thank you so much, Agustina. Thank you. Especially the incest maniacs. Wait, what? Okay, thanks guys. Thank you so much. Seriously. I didn't even expect anybody to respond to that, but I tried to be like, please. Okay. Anyways, I gotta reread this. I gotta reread this thing. With awful, I'm gonna read it literally, and then I'm gonna read it to myself implied, just to be a dick. With awful, I meant that many of them were evil, not that they were bad written, because they were very good written. Especially the incest maniacs. Okay, I'm gonna try to figure out what this says. Oh yeah. Because they're bad written because they're. Oh, you weren't saying the Lannisters were evil? I want to start a legacy after college. Oh yeah. So you're responding to one earlier. I was saying I want to start my family, and yeah, dude, it's hard though, because if you get rich or something and you're raising kids, like your kids are going to grow up in a very privileged environment, and you got to find a way to make them into good people. And it's possible. Not every rich person, right, is evil. So it's very possible. It's just like you got to be careful as a parent if you're doing that. It's funny. There's a small example of that. Not that iPads affect how spoiled you are, but the computer and software engineers that made the iPad do not allow their kids to have iPads. Like all those guys in Silicon Valley, guys and girls in Silicon Valley that engineered the iPad, they don't give it to their kids because they know, not that like iPads aren't a rich people thing, but they know that iPads fucking ruin kids. And they do. If you use an iPad to babysit your child, that's so disgusting to me. Like it's one of the most offensive things to me, seeing that. And it has been for a long time. And then I started seeing my own family do it, like cousins being raised like that and stuff. And it's really disgusting from a parent perspective. That you should be embarrassed if you're ever babysitting your kid. And I get that it's very tempting, and you might do it sometimes, but like to just do it to default to that to babysit you, like it's so fucked. So what my point is that there, regardless of how smart some people are, because a lot of those people who use iPads to babysit their kids, they're smart people. They have great careers. So what's the deal? Why are they doing this? Well, the thing is, to raise a kid, you really, you almost have to be like a master of psychology, I think, to do a good kid. Yeah, that's a hot take, K Taylor 145s. Sorry if it offends anybody, but that's, you know, I'll say that multiple times in the course of, you know, Rubber Dorky season 2. In the future, you'll probably hear that shit from me again. And if anybody ever wants to challenge that point, I'll get into a debate. I can support that point. I can talk about that all day. But anyways, the point I was trying to make with that was that it's very hard to raise good kids, and only a few people understood that iPads were bad. And I only understood it because I like spent a lot of time like looking into it. It's not like common sense. It's not common sense. So I'm not gonna go up to a parent and be like, "Oh, you piece of shit!" Like, you fucking parent with their iPad. I'm just disgusted by it. I am disgusted at the person, because whether or not they know they're doing something wrong, they are doing something very wrong. And I think if you have a kid, you should look into that stuff. So it's very complicated for me. Like, I feel like they should know everything that they're doing with their kid. Like, they should at least educate themselves. But at the same time, you know, I wouldn't like go up to them and just start harassing them, you know, as much as I might want to sometimes. I'm 20 years old. I want to start a family just yet. Yeah, I don't want to start a family just yet. Yeah. No, I don't blame you. I'm 28. I still don't want to start a family. But I was gonna say, like, when I do start a family, I'm gonna, you know, it's gonna be so hard to figure out some of the things that, you know, I'm gonna do. And I know, like, you can't just figure everything out, but I'm gonna try really hard to. And I think that one of the things I'm going to have to do is have a more complete understanding of psychology. I honestly feel like every parent should take early childhood development classes. That should be like, you know what I was thinking? I was thinking this a while ago, like, in high school, you should have an IQ test, and all the tax breaks that we give to people that have more than a few kids. Like, we give tax breaks to people that have like 10 kids because they need help. But I was gonna, you know, I always felt like that's kind of wrong. That's not, like, in a world where there's no scarcity, and there's, like, I feel like it's fine, but to give our tax money to people who are making mistakes like that, you know, I'm not a big fan. But anyways, I was gonna say, it was kind of my thought that it would be good to have an IQ test in high school, and people below a certain threshold shouldn't be getting those tax breaks. But now I just had the thought, like, oh, what if childhood development is actually my major? Yeah, so what if you did this? The people that don't pass the threshold of having a good enough IQ to be getting all the tax assistance, or the government assistance with when you have more than a few kids, like have more than 3 kids or whatever it is, you know, you're not going to be getting that. But how about this? You can get that money just like anybody else if you take college courses in childhood development. So it still gives you the option. You're not just like written off because you're stupid. Like, at least if you're stupid, you should take those classes. That would be fucking amazing. Oh, fuck. Oh, dude, I think that's exactly how it should be. And I'm so satisfied right now because you know, that idea that I've had it for years, and it's always felt incomplete. I know that it's fucked up to basically take tax money and government assistance from people just because they don't have high IQ. But if you give them a chance to get it back, like, or to just to get it, by actually taking classes, that's good. That's it. We already give college assistance, so there's no reason why somebody shouldn't be able to take courses. If you have to take courses to drive a car, you should have to be taking courses to have kids if you don't fucking understand how kids work, And usually it's the stupid people that don't understand how kids work. It could be smart people too. There's exceptions, but goddamn, we would improve the quality of so many children if we did that. Like that's why I want it. That's why I want that done. So Diane Gonzalez says, child development is actually my major. Yeah. You're majoring in college, which is really cool. But I totally understand if you don't want to work with kids, because those are fucking other people's kids and other people are terrible parents. Jay really says, that sounds fun. And at Diane, I'm going to major in anthropology in college and also study Afrikaans, isiZulu, and teaching. Oh, dude. I don't know what isiZulu is. That's interesting. If you're interested, if you're up for it, tell me what isiZulu means. I'm curious. Anthropology is a cool subject, though. Anthropology, let me make sure I'm getting that right. Anthropology. Why is it my autocorrect spelt it with an I instead of a Y? The study of human societies and cultures. Yeah, but is it study of, it's not primates. Linguistic anthropology, how language affects local life, social life. Let me make sure I'm understanding this properly. A lot about language. Study of what makes us human. That's cool. That actually would be pretty useful, I think, to being a parent. Probably would. I think we're pretty much off this subject of Game of Thrones, right? That creating a legacy is a cool thing, man. Maybe someday I'll talk about my personal experience and why I identify with Tywin. But yeah, Tywin was one of my favorite characters. I was so sad when he died. I was happy for Tyrion because he got that satisfaction, and honestly, Tywin deserved to die. He's a piece of shit, but a lot of people give him flack. Tywin had a lot of redeeming qualities that people overlooked, I think, because of how ruthless he was, and his general attitude painted him as the guy you're supposed to hate. Him being a grouchy grouch, kind of told somebody watching if they weren't paying attention, you're supposed to hate this guy. Okay. Meanwhile, in the backstory behind him, dude, George, they don't even talk about it in the show, but George was so smart. George gave Tywin this history with his family that was basically the reason for why Tywin only cares about family and creating a legacy. And it's that his house when he was a kid was a laughingstock. And not that I really I don't care about my family being silly or ridiculous or low status, which it is. We're not upper class anymore. But anyways, with his story was brilliant. His family was low status, and they were the laughingstock in the realm. And they decided to just laugh at themselves. His dad, Tywin's dad, would just laugh all the jokes off at any of the feasts. His dad was just kind of a pushover. His dad was a pussy, basically. And that would upset Tywin, and it was actually what formed who he was. Once he was old enough to actually make decisions for the family, he started just undoing all the stuff his dad was doing. And his dad was not, since his dad was such a pushover, he wasn't strong enough to put his foot down, at all. Message retracted. Why are you deleting your messages? Okay, it doesn't matter. Tywin's amazing, dude. I think I could do a video on Tywin too. The thing that keeps me from doing videos is that I really want them to be well edited. And like the last big video I did that got, the last video I uploaded that got seen by more than 100, 500 people was a completely unedited video about Logan Paul at the Suicide Forest. And that video got 350,000 views. And the quality was so bad. And I think I only got like 500 subscribers from that video out of 300,000 people that watched it. And it was just like, oh man, such a missed opportunity. And it was still a good, good learning experience. But like, dude, I want my channel to like be good. I don't want to try to rush out videos, but I don't have the time to edit videos, man. I have time to stream, and that kind of changes things. So I'm sorry if you guys want to talk about Game of Thrones, I don't mind totally changing back to that. But yeah, I kind of want to update, but I don't mind. I don't mind. But yeah, let me know. I'm changing my plans. My original plans were to like upload videos like every day and have them be good edited videos, which I've now realized I can't do because I have bills. I live on my own. I don't make as much as I thought I made every month. So, okay, well, still tell me, just start talking about Game of Thrones if you want me to talk about Game of Thrones, because I'll get off back on that subject real quick. But yeah, so my plan was to release, I was able to do like videos every day and like good edited videos. But that was one of those living with my dad, and I only had to pay $220 in rent, and I had a part-time job, and I had college. And those honestly took less time than what I have now. I'm actually more busy than I was when I was just had a part-time job in college, and had to do chores and run errands for my dad and stepmom. What's my favorite Game of Thrones episode? Oh man, that's really tough, dude. That's an interesting question though, like, because I rewatch the show all the time. Like I've rewatched the entire series about 10 to 15 times, and that's like 72 hours of content. So it's pretty hard to remember, even though I've seen it so many times. It all kind of blends together because I do binge watch when I'm here, and I'm, last time I watched the show, I wasn't working as much. I was like procrastinating and not as responsible, so I was watching the show a lot. It's so hard to answer, dude. But how about this? Next time I watch the show, I'll how could that be a video about my favorite episode? Like I would love to like write about what my favorite episode is and try to explain why it's like the best episode and try to make it into a hot take, maybe even a joke, because that's what this channel is going to be. Like if I'm going to talk about entertainment and it's not funny and it's like a serious entertainment video, like about TV and film, it's going to be on my second channel, which is linked down below. So anything news related, any breakdowns, reviews, any of that. But I love the idea of on this channel making a joke about like, I don't know, just fucking trying to do a hot take, like why some episode is the best. But then I would have to pick a terrible episode that people actually really like episode 3 of this season. and say why it's the best episode of Game of Thrones. Oh my god! Because I could actually probably do a convincing argument like that. What I've wanted to do for a while is do like a couple reaction videos of here's the whole concept. The idea of the video is uh, do a reaction style video, but a shitty one where like all you get from the content creator, the YouTuber, is like, oh, that's cool, that's cool. But I want to react. This is the clincher. This is the funny part. I want to react in a way that I imagine Dan and Dave want all of us to react, like all the normies. I want to basically portray, basically to get this identity down and like basically be a normie reacting to, you know, some shitty Game of Thrones episode and be like, oh my god, yes, Quain, that's fucking great. Uh, and and then try to argue why things are like the most amazing thing ever. Like, oh, this was fucking set up like such a long time ago. Oh, it's a reference to season 1. Ah, okay. I obviously it would be better than that. It wouldn't be so over the top. Like I'd tone it down, make it subtle. But anyways, top 5 favorite characters. It'd be top 5 LOL. Okay. Top 5 episodes. It's so hard to separate them. I could tell you my top 5 like scenes or like parts of the series. Like one of my favorite parts of the series is when I think season 1. Yeah, it had to have been season 1. They were told by HBO, the showmakers were told, you need to make the episodes longer. We need more from you. We need more scenes. And Dan and Dave didn't get any extra money from HBO. They were like, oh fuck, you know, we gotta give, like, write all these scenes and we don't have any extra money. So what they did was they took the sets that they already had and they just filmed like characters talking to each other. They wrote some dialogue and they put in some scenes that are just like pretty basic scenes, but they're some of the best scenes in the show. Like what I'm talking about is Robert Baratheon and Cersei. Some of their discussions like weren't even meant to be in the show. They just put them in there because they needed to fill up time. And ironically, it's some of the best work that they did. That was more than one episode, but if we're talking about like my favorite events or whatever, that's one of them. Can't think of it. I mean, there's other stuff. Theon, I feel like if we're talking about the favorite characters, Theon is like one of my favorites. He's in the top 5. I don't want to go in any particular order. Let's see. Jay Willies, let's look at your top 5. Okay, number 1, Tyrion Lannister. Number 2, Cersei Lannister. Yeah. Number 3, Arya Stark. Number 4, Sansa Stark. Number 5, the guy without a penis. I can't remember the name of. Hey, Theon, dude. Oh, wait. He might mean Varys. He might mean Varys, not just Theon. He means, yeah, he does mean Varys, I think. Varys is cool. So my top 5. No particular order yet because I don't know. Littlefinger, Theon, Littlefinger and Theon, Cersei, Tyrion. I'm worried about the last one. Probably Davos. No, Bronn. I think Bronn's better than Davos. So Bronn, Littlefinger, Cersei, Tyrion. I don't fucking know, but the ones I just said. Cersei, Tyrion, Littlefinger. Yeah. Fuck, I keep forgetting one of them. But yeah, you heard me say it. I like those characters a lot. I like those characters. Expectation versus reality reaction. Yeah. See, like, what they expect. See, like, what Dan and Dave expect us to react like. And just give it to them. Just fucking, like, this is what they fucking want. Like, yeah, okay. Let's see. I don't know my top 5, but Littlefinger and Cersei are on my list. Yeah, I can see that. I can appreciate those. Littlefinger pre pre the last season, pre season 7, Littlefinger was like possibly my favorite character. Um, I like Littlefinger so much that in the story that I'm writing, I don't do other things with the character, but I'm straight up like taking Littlefinger from Game of Thrones. Like he's just too interesting, and there's too much potential. Um, so I'm taking him for my story. That's going to be fantasy. I'm just, yeah, and people might have a problem with, but I don't think most people would, because I'm gonna do different stuff with that character. I won't copy Game of Thrones that much. But Game of Thrones is totally inspiring me to write this book, especially now that we're not being satisfied with, like, we're not getting satisfactory endings to all the character arcs and stuff. I'm definitely now like really wanting to write my story. It's just I'm always broke and I need to work. I'd probably be able to finish this book this year if I had the money to just like work on it, do videos. If those were the only two things I did, oh my god, dude. I'd probably be able to grow my YouTube channel too. That would be great. Jay really serious, and that's why a lot of the famous YouTubers are rich, or like already rich. Like they're just kids that grew up as rich kids because they had the time. Anyways, Jay really serious. Is your favorite death Bolton? Roose Bolton? That's the only good death that the Boltons got. Let's see. Jay really serious says, I like how they brought back the fact that the Targaryens. I can't spell that. He speaks crazy. Oh, okay. You like. It's really hard to read your comments sometimes. I like how they brought back the fact that the Targaryens are crazy, and now we can see that they still are. Well, except one, but still. Well, the saying goes that every time a Targaryen is born, the gods flip a coin and the world holds its breath. So it's okay for like one Targaryen to be sane. In fact, like more of them should have been sane, but you have Dany, who's apparently crazy now, and her brother was definitely crazy. Their father, wasn't he the Mad King? So crazy. So all the ones that are alive right now are crazy, save for one, which is beating the odds. It's definitely beating the odds. John, yeah. You like Joffrey's death. I wanted it to be more unique, as most people like to see him die. So I said Bolton instead, as I can't decide between the two deaths. Yeah, it's cool. Bolton and Joffrey were two of the worst villains on, or the best, however you look at it, the best villains on television. And what was so cool was Joffrey was the most hated person on TV, and then within a year, Roose Bolton gets introduced. Oh, not Roose, Ramsay Bolton. Ramsay's the guy that you liked being dead. They introduce Ramsay, and then within a year, they make him the most hated villain, like worse than Joffrey. Because like Joffrey, he was evil and he wanted evil things done, but Ramsay Bolton, he did those evil things. Like he got his hands dirty, and he like, you could argue that they both like seeing people suffer, but Roose was like he wanted to do it himself. Like he didn't leave that shit to anybody else. So that's somebody that I don't think can even be redeemed. Maybe Joffrey, like maybe he can't be redeemed, but the other characters definitely thought he could at some points. And then they realized he's a lost cause. Ramsay, like if all the characters that were with Joffrey were with Ramsay, imagine that. Like they would instantly know, like, oh, this guy is fucked. There's nothing we can do about this guy. So yeah, Joffrey wasn't nearly as bad as Ramsay. What is my favorite death? I don't see how you're telling me seeing Joffrey or Ramsay Bolton die was more satisfying to you than, or like your favorite compared to some of the other, like, what about the Red Wedding? Like those were characters we liked, but still, like they're amazing deaths. You know, like the way that they were done. This is back like season 3, uh, when they killed Catelyn, when they killed Rob, and they killed Light, whatever her name is. They surprised us. They subverted our expectations. You know, like they're talking about doing this season. But this harkens back to a time when they actually followed their own rules. They never followed their rules in this season. You know, when they killed the Red Wedding, killed them at the Red Wedding, they, um, you know, they had setup. They had proper setup. It was a good story. Let's see here. Agustina Duca says about the scene mostly exactly the Red Wedding. The Red Wedding was, yeah, it was crazy. I don't know if that's my favorite death. I think maybe my favorite death was Ygritte, because that was so hard for John, um, and I think the acting in that scene was really good. You know, I mean, John and the actress that plays Ygritte, like they actually really love each other. They're going to start a family together. I think, they, the love there is real. And not that I'm like an expert on acting, but you can, knowing that how they are in real life, you can look back on that scene and it doesn't break immersion at all. Like they are clearly in love. Like John and Ygritte, they are so believable. So that death was really good. That would probably be a strong contender for my favorite. I would even go to argue with people as the best death. But I don't know. There's been a lot of deaths in the show. In fact, one of the episodes in this season was the first episode ever without somebody dying. Pretty sure about that. I won't raise my kids rich, as I won't be rich. I won't even afford moving out of South Africa after I have kids, nor do I want to, but I would prefer living in the US instead. What? Okay, so you're saying you couldn't afford to move out of South Africa, and hell, you wouldn't want to, but you would prefer to live in the US? So do you want to move to the US, or do you want to stay there? I would say, I mean, isn't South Africa like super hot? It's further away from the equator. I mean, I don't know. Like I couldn't live anywhere like south of where I am, and I'm not even that far south. Any closer to the equator though, and I'm dead. I'm melted. I don't know if I have some problem where I like inflammation of the joints or some shit, but I just can't handle the heat, man. I take actual medication, as like anti-inflammatory medication, because of it. Uh, it's more joint related. I don't know if I have an actual condition like that, but I do have a joint problem where there's inflammation. I think the heat exacerbates the problem, though. I couldn't do that. Anyways, you don't want to raise your kids rich. I think that your my video is being sent to you like really, really late. It might just be the connection. So you live in South Africa. Um, so it's probably because it's so far away, I guess. Maybe there's nothing you can do about it, but maybe check on the overlay and see if there's something that says live. And if there is, click it. It'll be more recent. You'll have to skip a bunch of shit, but at least you'll feel more part of the discussion. But if it doesn't matter to you, then don't even bother. Let's see here. Man, favorite death, man. This is interesting. I like thinking about the deaths of the show. Some people might say that Liana. Oh, not Liana. Fuck that death. Who is the daughter of Stannis Baratheon? What's her name? You know how she died? Remember her death when she was burned at the stake by Melisandre? That was a rough one. I think a lot of people would say like that was their favorite death in a way, like, or the best death. I don't think it was the best though. There's so many other good ones. Like Ygritte and Jon was so much better. Um, Tywin might have been a good one, just because Tyrion, like, he did not want to kill his father, but he was so ready to do it. He was just like, "Fuck you, dude." Like, I know that sounds stupid to say that Tywin. Of course, Tywin wanted to kill his father. Yeah, he was gonna do it. But as you saw in the later season, he regrets it, and it's not like Tyrion didn't want to kill his father. Like, basically, from a perspective of like he didn't want to have to kill his father. He didn't want to live his life up to this point to where it's been like, lived up to, I'm killing my father now. He didn't want that, you know. Obviously, at this point, yeah, he's like, I want to kill my dad because he's gonna fucking sentence me to death, and he is a hateful person, and he's manipulated the entire city, you know, against me. So yeah, of course, it's such an interesting thing. This is what the show does well, and especially it did well back in the previous seasons. It got people talking about real conflicts that real people have. Even though this is based in Westeros in some weird world, all the conflicts feel very real. They're very convincing, and I think that's why so many of people online, like on Twitter and Instagram and YouTube, Facebook, are very critical of this show, and I feel like more critical than they are of other shows. And to some people it might seem nitpicky, but um, Game of Thrones set a standard, and they destroyed that standard all in one season. I would argue in the case of 3 episodes, 3, 4, and 5. They just completely just destroyed their show, I think. It's a shame too, because I think that they had a chance to make this the greatest show from start to finish that's ever been made. Um, It'll never pass Breaking Bad now. I thought it might, because it was my favorite over Breaking Bad, even though I think Breaking Bad's a better show. I thought maybe, as we were leading up to this season, we waited 2 years for this last season for them to do 6 episodes. When HBO told them that they could do more, they could do 8 episodes if they want. They were like, nah, we're ready to leave. Fucking Dan and Dave. I thought for 2 years leading up to that, like, maybe the show could end up being better than Breaking Bad. Like, and they're 2 totally different shows. I'm not trying to say that they're like very similar. It's just, interesting. We have 2 people from South Africa. South America. Augustina Duca says, I'm from South America. I'm from Argentina. Now is winter here, actually, but sometimes it's really hot. I would love to visit US. Dude, if you come to the United States, try to leave enough time to like take a road trip, because I mean, maybe find a route through the United States that you can go that will show you the highest variety of ecosystems, like nature, which would probably be like, I don't know, like from northern Arizona, start at like the Grand Canyon and go to like Oregon, and you'll probably see like every type of environment there is, that would be amazing. Like, just try to take a road trip. Don't go to a city. If you come to the United States, every city is the same. You'll get some fast food that you don't have where you live, but go see some small towns. That's what I would do. Like, if I was going to go to Argentina, I'd try to go to the small towns. I would fly into a big city and then go to a small town. That's what I do. Jay Willie series. So would I, Agustina Duca. It's always fun to chat people who also lived in the southern hemisphere as we got switched summer. Yeah, you guys have winter, so I wonder how cold it is. Especially like South Africa. That's pretty south. I was starting to think it was hot, but like maybe not. I don't know. But I should probably get going pretty soon here. You like Breaking Bad? I saw the whole series after it finished. Like Game of Thrones, I started watching it season 4, I think. So wait, did you watch Breaking Bad at season 4? Anyways, yeah, no, I love Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad is fucking amazing. Uh, like, I don't think we'll ever get a show as good as Breaking Bad. Like they planned it, for 5 seasons, and there wasn't an executive that was able to fuck things up and say, hey, you got to do things for 7 seasons, or there's a time crunch, you got to finish it in 3 years. No, Breaking Bad had like the most perfect line of things happen. I don't know everything that happened behind the scenes, or even much of it at all, but clearly they didn't have some of those more serious issues happen to them. That's why I don't think we'll ever get something like Breaking Bad again. Because yeah, that's fucking really, really, really lucky that the show wasn't fucked up by something outside of it. No, the full series bit after it was over. Oh, okay. Gotcha. But not with Game of Thrones. So Breaking Bad finished. You watched. How is that like Game of Thrones? You started watching it season 4. You started watching Game of Thrones in season 4, but how is that like with Breaking Bad? Because you watched it after it finished. Okay. Okay, that's cool. Yeah, I think I started watching Game of Thrones around the same time, around season 4, maybe 5. Jay Willie Series says, I agree, Rubber Doke. I would never give my kid an iPad. Dude, you are so behind. Oh my God. At what age is it appropriate to give one's kid an iPad? Is 10 okay? Is 10 okay, or should I wait longer? Dude, I'm not a childhood psychologist. I mean, I have an answer for you. I do have an answer, but I'm like, I don't know if I even want to get into it. I mean, I wouldn't say 10 is okay. I would say like the longer you wait, the better it is going to be. So if you want the best chance for your child to be a well-adjusted adult, I wouldn't let them have an iPad like until they're like 16 to 18. Like, I mean, maybe even 18. Just like fucking once they're out of the house or once they're an adult legally, like you let them get an iPad. But here's the thing: you're gonna have a kid that's really resentful because all their friends have iPads. So I would say in this hypothetical situation, like with your kids and withholding iPads and handheld phones, only do it if you can really explain why it's good for them to not have an iPad. Hopefully your kid is like, an intelligent kid, which I'm sure they are. If you just talk to your kid like a person and just be like, look, this isn't good for people. You might feel that your brain is all developed and you're the person you're going to be, but this is one of the most crucial times of your life, and having an iPad is really going to mess you up. You could even talk about yourself if it's messed you up, just be like, this has really changed how I perceive the world and how much patience I have, because iPads they really take away a person's patience and like their ability to just sit without sound or without anything. Like I kind of have that problem. Like if I wasn't talking right now and it was just like quiet in my room, I would have to like very consciously, purposefully go into this patient mode that I have. I wouldn't just be able to like without thinking be okay with being in total silence or like doing just stuff. I would automatically, I would just be like putting on something to watch and like watching something, because it does change you. Having instant gratification, instant access to entertainment. So yeah, just tell your kid, be like, you know, it'll make it hard for you. Like, tell your kid, having an iPad and being able to watch shit whenever you want is going to make it harder for you to live when you don't have anything at your fingertips, because you're not going to have an iPad with you for your entire life. You know, there's going to be times when you have to sit and be patient. You know, you have to be at work and you have to like, what is our generation going to do? Like the previous, this new generation, what are they going to do when they have to be in the workforce? When they've been raised as a kid, like from having iPads, like babies, like just being able to access TV like whenever they want. And then they have to go to work and they have to spend 8 hours not even listening to anything, no entertainment. That's fucking like, that's hard, right? So why give your kid iPad? Why make your kid like suffer through that? That's suffering, honestly. And it's stupid, you know, especially stupid to people that are older that never had to deal with that problem. But you know, it's what is it? What's that word? It's relevant to the person. You have to keep in mind the person's like experiences, you know. So we might think that it's a ridiculous problem. Like with me, I think it's ridiculous that a lot of like kids today like think that, you know, their drama is worth being upset about. Yeah, I love how whenever I'm literally trying to think of a word, I lose like half the viewers. Oh, it sucks so much. So much for super chats, man. Anyways, Jay Willie says, I agree. I would never give my kid oh yeah, you already read that. My bad. Yeah, we totally got on this iPad thing because you're so behind, man. We were talking about Game of Thrones and Breaking Bad. It's okay. I actually have to leave anyways. So this has been interesting. I don't know how we got on the iPads from it could be interesting to like go back and watch this stream to see how in the world we got to iPads from me really trying to stay on topic about Game of Thrones. Hey, thank you. Hey, Diane, thank you. I'm glad you like it. Yeah, I like it too. Yeah, I think I'm gonna get going. Thought I was gonna work all morning, and now it's about to be afternoon. So I think I'm gonna try to work. Maybe get some sun. Holy shit! So it was good talking to you guys. Fucking thank you to the people, Augustina, Jay Willie, the other girl, Igrit. No, her name wasn't Igrit. Kay Taylor, if you're still here, thank you. Iris Black, and Dusty Old Bones, who just came here to drop $2 to support the channel. That was fucking great. Dude, peace out, Kay Taylor. Thank you. Thank you guys for watching. I will stream more. I'm gonna stream more. I'm gonna talk about more Game of Thrones stuff. I'll probably do a pre-stream for this finale because it's such a big deal to me, and then a post-stream. Unlikely at the post-stream because I'll probably be talking to my friend about it. She's really into Game of Thrones, so and then I'm gonna go to work like immediately after. So it's probably not gonna happen. But I'm gonna stream. And in the future, because this is on my like main channel, I'm just gonna say this right now. So this is for like the fans, not just people who came here to hear me talk shit about Game of Thrones, Dana Dave. So I'm not gonna be always streaming this type of content on this channel, but I'm going to be streaming a lot of it on the channel that I have linked below. It's the entertainment channel. I think I'm gonna call it Rage or Praise, and that's gonna be that. And that's gonna get all of this, any content about TV, film, you know, it's gonna be on there. And I'm gonna have another channel for gaming, but I'm not linking that yet. Because I don't know. I don't know yet. Figuring stuff out as I go, but I have figured out quite a bit. So I wanted to start doing this, lead people to that channel. Anyways, it's really hard to say bye to you guys, especially since I don't do these that often, but I'm gonna do more, so it's fine. Bye guys, thanks for watching.